Oh shit, it's the fearsome foursome back in the house tonight on the world famous Juggalo show. I'm the rude boy, son of Southwest Detroit's very own right here. My man right there, Jump Steady's.
I love that nickname, by the way.
The son of Southwest?
That's the dopest nickname ever.
Thank you. Carlito gave it to me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Okay,
he
got
did.
you.
He was like, you're the son of Southwest.
Right.
And to my immediate left is my homeboy, always holding it down. I'm talking about the one and only KG, Kevin Gill in the fucking house.
In the fucking building. Thank you, Delta Airlines, for the upgrade. And thank you to my brothers, Rude Boy, Jump Steady, and our good friend, Natalie.
Natalie to the right of me, you talking about Naughty Natalie, right?
Naughty Natalie.
Formerly known as Ring Girl Natalie is in the house right here. Hey, tonight is a very special night. We've got the Insane Clown Posse. Let's get this show started, man. What the fuck is going on?
I'm ready.
That's it.
Jump Steady.
So let's bring them in.
All right. Gentlemen, do we,
Enter ICP.
Where's the Insane Clown Posse? Violent J, Shaggy 2 Dope in the motherfucking house. Giving dabs to KG. Yeah. Uh-oh. What you talking about unplugged? He's sitting right here. You just bumped him a little bit.
It's all good, man.
What's up?
You know?
Good,
I understand.
Violent J, Shaggy 2 Dope, fresh off one of the best fucking tours ever for the Insane Clown Posse, right?
That's right, the Marvelous Missing Link tour. Wow, my shit's not even on?
Yeah.
Oh! Get it together, fellas. Come on, you've been doing this for how long? Pink slip.
What up, Juggalos and Juggalettes tuning in all over the motherfucking dirt ball? We're happy to be back on the world famous Juggalo show. We got a fucking seriously one of the biggest shows ever as far as news, and we got a very
dropping bombs. And this is my first time actually live on the Juggalo show.
Yes, it's true.
I did a Skype that one time, but this is my actual first time being up in this.
And the Skype worked out good, didn't it?
Yeah, it went great.
Like that microphone not being on.
Right. At least this got fixed.
You know what though?
Right.
We got a very coming up a little bit. We got a very serious and very, very touching story to tell.
Yes.
Right, it's true.
You know, very, very for real.
Very
you know, I think
touchy-feely.
there's a lot of juggalos out there that, you know, maybe are tuning in right now that feel like they know everything there is to know about Insane Clown Posse, but after the night, I think you're going to feel like you don't know shit.
Right?
Because there's a lot to this group.
Tidbit of lost history knowledge.
We're gonna shed a lot of light on a lot of things nobody knows about, stuff that was in no book, that was never talked about in no seminar, you know.
That's right.
Very real shit is about to be spilled tonight, Jump Steady.
No doubt. Stuff that we were gonna save for the new ICP book.
For part two?
Part 2, yeah, which has been in the talks now for about a year. So
Yeah, but
It's
you
been
know what?
explained time and time again, man.
Right.
We had, you know, I tell juggalos when they ask what's up with the new book, I say we had about 24 years to write the first one.
Shit, more than that.
That's right. That's
More
right.
than that.
Hell of a lot
Like
more than
30
that.
years.
Yeah, like 30 years, you know, so we're just waiting for a good ending point.
That was from birth.
Before the second book comes out. You know, we got to see
Right.
what happens with the FBI.
Right.
Let this deck of Joker's cards be released.
That's
you know
right.
what I'm saying?
It's got to end on a high note, you know
And
what
then-
I'm saying?
yeah, and
at least
then-
that for the second volume, I guess.
Absolutely,
Then
man.
the second book will come out, you know, after the second deck has been released and we have something resolved as far as the FBI, you know what I'm saying, with the lawsuit and all that shit, you
Right.
know.
Yeah, there has to be some closure somewhere, you know.
Yeah, there's got to be an end to the
Right,
book. It
before
can't
you
just end
put
like.
the book out. Yeah.
And then we did a show, and we went back to the hotel, then went to the next city. The end. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man.
Juggalos, we're joined by two
What's the feedback?
personal friends of ours
Crazy
from
feedback.
our childhood. Crazy feedback.
Crazy feedback.
It's been going on.
Yeah, it's like.
It's been going on.
Are we at a
since
fucking
It's
airport
like
or
you're not
something?
grounded. There we go.
There we go.
All right.
Was that like broadcasting out the whole time?
We're joined by
Okay.
two personal friends of ours, of all of ours.
Yeah.
Since childhood.
Since
back
we were kids.
from back in the day, from back before ICP. For those that have read the book I wrote, Behind the Paint, you've seen these guys' names in the book. I'm talking about Mr. John Klein.
Hello.
And Mr. Noel Symington.
Yeah, this family.
To refresh your memory, Noel Symington is the guy who I was trying to borrow a gun off of, and he was
That
showing
he
me.
had stole from his grandpa.
He was showing me how it works, and he shot himself in the hand.
Oh.
Just for show.
And somebody else caught the blame.
That's right, me.
Drive-by.
We told the police it was a drive-by from a Blue Nova.
And they believed that for about 5 seconds.
Right.
It was a drive-by in my hand.
He caught the bullets.
Right, he saw it coming, so he tried catching that
Fucking
boy.
ninja.
The cops were like, I'm going to give you one more chance to tell me the truth. I was down at the station. They were like, I'm going to give you one more chance to tell me the truth. And I was like, all right, fuck it. He shot himself. And he was
The
like,
quickness.
and he was like, good, because my next question was going to be, what's up with that gun we found hidden under the bed? And your friend Noel is up at the hospital. He already told us about how he shot himself. I was like, whew, I'm glad I told the truth.
Meanwhile, I'm giving everybody up at the hospital.
Oh, shit.
Oh man.
Well, we got a very, very interesting story to tell right now. And, you know, the story kind of starts from the very beginning at the stage in life where you cross over from being an adolescent, basically a child, like a little boy that buys toys, into
Pussy.
a teenager. You know what I'm saying? To where you first discover girls, and you first get your license, and you first, you know, have friends, and you're hanging out with them, and, you know, you first drink.
Get that beer on, yeah.
Yep, you know what I'm saying? And you first, you know, perhaps smoke a little weed for the first time. And you first become a teenager into a man. We're talking about those years,
That's
you know,
right.
in one's life. And
Another big reason why we got these two guys in here to help along with it here and there, you know what I'm saying?
that's right, you know, they're part of the original 7. There was 7 of us back in the day that used to ride around in the Jeep. Joey's stepfather, Roger, his Jeep, we used to ride around with the top down.
Top up was camouflage.
Yeah.
You could see it.
That's the way to take that boy
We
down.
used to ride around bumping NWA and Awesome Dre.
When's the last
and
time you seen
Danny
a soft
Kaye.
top Jeep?
With a ram plate.
But we used to ride around Detroit. We used to drive out to Southwest to see the Rude Boy.
That's right.
We used to go everywhere in that.
We used to
man.
go out to Milford. We used to go to Melvindale. These are cities in the suburbs. We used to drive out. You know, we used to spend every day of our lives together. You know,
Yes.
I dropped out of school well before these guys, but they used to skip school and hang out with me. But I used to complain so much about, you know, because they were drinking and I
Stealing a
didn't
lot.
drink. I didn't drink at the time as much, so I used to get mad when they would drink 2 days in a row. You know what I'm saying?
It was the weekend.
So they started.
Oh, that was Tuesday.
They used to ditch me. They would skip school and they'd be like, "Don't go pick up Joe, because all he's gonna do is bitch at us." But that used to hurt my feelings a lot.
It's a correction.
Tell
We
us how you feel.
we never drank when we were skipping school. We always went out stealing shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Drinking was like back then, you know, like more of a nighttime thing.
And Shaggy was the master of stealing, as
Me
I
and this guy
recall.
right
Yes.
here, we were fucking
Yes.
partners, boy.
This guy could walk into either one of these guys could walk into a fucking Toys R Us and the fucking game council would be behind the register, and they'd come out with fucking trench coats.
Professional.
Hey, let's go.
And now, the reason why I say professional thieves, because we actually sold the shit and got paid. Although I think about it now, we crazy undercut our price.
Right. Look, I was the same. I was a master thief as well, and I actually perfected the art of stealing stuff right in front of people.
Oh yeah, no
just
doubt.
doing it so naturally that they would. I walked out of the store with a TV set, a giant photo of Elvis that I wanted to buy for. I wanted to get for a friend of mine.
Natural walking out with it.
And
you
just
don't think about
yeah,
it,
you're just all cool. Like I stole at one point in my life. I was stealing so much that I actually perfected that art where you can just project
like
that.
to this day,
Where even someone looking at you does not realize you're
right,
stealing.
to this day, I was with my wife at Macy's. She was getting some shit, and I was adjusting my belt, and I was like, do people think I'm fucking stealing right now?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just like,
back. Looking up,
like to this day, I'm still
Right.
like, fuck, man. You know,
Right.
maybe I should just steal
So
something.
you still
you know?
got your radar on and shit.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, we all were master thieves. You know, I
Some more than
wouldn't
others,
say I
but-
perfected the art, but I was pretty good at snatching car stereos. You know,
Oh.
I wouldn't actually, you know,
They were
connect
pullouts.
it. My method of choice was to kick the dash
Oh.
until the stereo practically fell in my hands.
And if you couldn't get it out, then you just kick the stereo and break it like an asshole. If the kickers were bolted down, you pop holes in them because you're mad. You
And the
couldn't get
guy's
it out.
all like, what the
Straight
fuck, man?
dickhead.
Yeah,
Rip the
man.
tweeters out.
Dickheads.
You couldn't
remember-
steal it, but you gotta fuck it up.
I remember one time I was stealing a car stereo, and I saw the lady open up the side door of her house and look at me in her car. And I saw her shut the door, you know, obviously to go call the police. But I was like, fuck it, I got this thing halfway out anyway. I might as well finish.
None could fuck with stealing the pizza delivery dude's kicker box out the back of his
That's
shit.
right. We followed the pizza man
Because
because we could see the fucking the
bumping.
kicker box.
He delivered the pizza. He got a shit jack.
That's right. He was up front on the porch delivering the pizza, and I jumped out and grabbed the kicker box, and fuck, it was bolted down too. And I rocked that bitch and pulled it out of the Jeep and ran and we threw it over a fence. The guy was, you know, it was a chick, wasn't it?
I don't know.
They were screaming.
I
Though.
remember John ran up on the porch like, "Come on, motherfucker!"
Yeah, scared the dude away.
Come on! He's like, man, my wife and kids are gonna hear this.
But
I'm not worried about them. I'm worried about the cops.
Well, there's
Case is still pending.
there's a statute of limitations.
Or the
Yeah.
pizza
and
guy.
then 35 years ago,
Yeah,
it's
there's
not
no statute of limitations with that pizza guy. Still looking for the motherfucker that stole this shit.
It's called Hunger
His name
Howie.
is John Klein.
Oh.
Damn.
Still giving him up.
No, it's gonna get shot in the other hand.
But you know, we were all, you know, going through the days, you know what I'm saying, that age of wildness, you know what I'm saying, and you know, and of course everything kind of ceased when four of us decided to, you know, we were rapping on karaoke machines. You know, I used to rap with a kid named D Lyrical because he had a karaoke machine.
Yeah.
I didn't like him personally. You know, we were like, we
I
couldn't be
remember.
any more different.
I remember clearly.
But he had that sweet karaoke
Intelligence
machine.
and
Yes,
violence.
he did.
So we did an album called Intelligence and Violence. And he was the intelligence, and I obviously was the
Well,
violence.
he was D lyrical. You were Violent J.
That's right. And his mom used to hate me because I used to cuss so loud when I was cutting my verses.
Right. D lyrical was very clean.
And I remember sitting there rapping, and she would come downstairs to put the laundry in the laundromat in the fucking laundry machine.
What was his name? Daryl or
Dale, I think.
Dale? It was Dale.
Dale, will you stop him?
Dale Jim lyrical.
But then I got my own karaoke machine, and that was the end of D Lyrical.
Anywho.
But yeah, you know.
And then the studio opened in your room
That's
over on
right.
Garfield.
That's right, in my bedroom.
That's right.
And I had my own karaoke machine, and that's when
And I pressed the play and
that's when Basement Cuts
that's
was
right.
recorded.
That's right.
No,
And-
Basement Cuts
and
was
the-
clearly between the two shits.
And the album Enter the Ghetto Zone.
That's right.
You know, those are still out there somewhere in the world. John Klein actually believes he has a copy of some of that
Something.
in his garage, in some boxes. buried away with the other.
You didn't think that it would be just cool to bring it tonight? I don't know. You know, we ain't seen us in 40 years.
Do we got a
something,
cassette players to pop it into?
I mean, why? That's a good point. You got a good point there.
Especially hooked up through.
But
that
it'd be
shit.
nice just to look at it.
Right.
But then you know, we used to go to Rudy's neighborhood. And we used to give away and sell the cassettes all over the neighborhood.
It's true.
And
Now I want to bring a point. Was this also the time that you had the breakdancing crew going?
no, that was way
Oh shit! That was like
Yeah.
before I even knew it.
Okay.
that was fifth grade.
Right.
Yeah, that was
Oh.
Okay, right.
yeah, that was way back.
Well, I remember you were still doing breakdancing all the way when we were caddying.
In the 7th grade was the JJ Boys. That was when we first started rapping. That was me, Joey,
Oh, I got you right.
and Joey's brother John.
So the breakdancing came later.
that was earlier.
No.
The breakdancing was in Berkeley.
Breakdancing was out in the 80s, guy.
Right.
Nobody was breakdancing anywhere
Okay,
near
I
the
got you.
90s.
Breakdancing
Now
was
it
when we
came
lived
back,
in the
but
upper
then-
flat. That's when we gave Lady away.
Okay, but when we were doing caddying, you were still breakdancing at that point.
Yeah, because I was fucking 10.
That was when you were like about 13 or something.
Okay.
Okay,
I was 10 when
13.
I was 10 years old.
You
I
say
first
tomato,
started
I say tomato.
Right.
But
But like
this,
I was saying,
this
I was
is when
always
we were like
young as ninja.
17.
Okay, all right.
18.
Anyway.
You were in the
It's just
Army.
an interesting topic to bring up
Yeah.
that you had a breakdancing crew as well.
Maybe you
before
don't know. You weren't around in those times. You were serving the country.
But, you know, we were rapping the JJ Boys era. That was in the 7th grade and 8th grade. But then, you know, we went back to being thugs and gangsters. And then we were rapping. ICP was our attempt at a gang. You know what I mean? And then one day, you know, we were getting a lot of props from our cassettes. People were really digging
Especially
them.
in my neighborhood.
Yeah,
Big time.
yeah.
Big time.
And that's
Big
why
time?
we started representing Southwest Detroit in the raps.
That's right.
Because that's who was liking the raps the
Right,
most.
right. It's true.
Was our friends in Southwest. So they started saying, make a song about this or that, you know. And so we started representing Southwest in the lyrics, you know. And the characters of ICP originally, as the storyline would have it, were born and raised on Zug Island
Right.
in Delray.
That's right.
Where nobody was born and raised.
Right.
And,
Some were raised.
Maybe conceived.
Some were raised.
Not on Zug Island.
but not on Zug Island.
Right.
in Delray,
Maybe
yes.
conceived in the parking lot. Who knows?
But everything changed the day we walked into a real studio. Remember
Miller
those?
Miller Mini or Miller Mini Studios.
Miller
over
Mini
on-
Production.
on-
MIDI,
yeah,
Midi.
right next door to the Hungry Howie's
Yep.
over on 9
Mile.
Mile.
And
Yeah,
the
oh,
Red
yeah.
Apple Restaurant right
Fuck
there.
yeah.
Miller Midi Recording Studio ran by Chuck Miller.
Chuck
Turned out
Miller.
John lived right down the street from it, too.
What do you have? Some big ass
The
robot?
Zorgatron.
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 Now, this was before you could have a studio just by having a computer with a microphone.
Yeah, this is
Right.
still reel to reel and all that shit.
This is when a real recording studio
Right.
used to exist.
Right.
And
This was real work.
But one day we asked Alex Abyss to be our manager, who was a friend of my brother's, because Alex and his brother ran and operated a record store.
That's right. Hot hits.
And they used to sell our cassette out of there.
Yep.
And we used to sell a lot of the cassette.
We used to hide in the back room and watch all day just to watch one cassette sell. Like, yeah.
Yeah. And we asked Alex to be our manager. And Alex had $4,000 saved up in the bank. And he agreed to spend it on a real studio. And anyway, one day we walked into a real studio. And that day was the day everything in me and Joey and John Rode, our fourth friend, every day we were the ICP that day. There was 4 of us, the ones that were gonna be rappers for a living. It was me, Shaggy, Kid Villain, who was John Rode,
Right.
and John Kickjazz,
Kickjazz, yep.
who was John Usler. There was 4
Formerly
of
known
us.
as Ghetto Style.
Formerly known as Ghetto
Right.
Style, but he changed his name
Right.
to John Kickjazz.
Because we started calling him like Summer Style and all that shit.
Because he used
Started
to
rocking
wear,
the fluorescent shit.
collar up and Izod shirts, and we started calling him Summer Style.
That's because he had a job nobody else did. Shit. He could sport all that nice shit.
John was always the one that was smart.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? He could always spell shit right and add shit, you know what I mean, and do math problems. And he always had a job, you know what I mean?
Always had a job, always had a car, you know.
And a
always
girl.
had a chick.
Always had a hot
Right.
chick.
That's back when if anybody had a girlfriend or even hang out with a bitch, you're the biggest sellout in the world.
That's
you know
right.
what I'm saying? Biggest sellout. But he was like, fuck you guys. Well, you always had a bitch, you know what I'm saying?
If
Or not even
anybody had
bitch,
a girlfriend, they were a fucking sellout. That was
straight
the official
buster.
rule.
Right.
But the day we walked into Miller Mitty Productions, our lives changed. You know, we decided we were going to be rappers instead of wrestlers, and we wanted to be rappers for real, and our lives changed that day forever.
That's right.
And, you know, we started recording our first record ever, which was the Dog Beats maxi single.
Yes, sir.
4 songs on that record. Ghetto Zone, Wizard of the Hood, Life at Risk,
And of course, Dog Beats.
and of course Dog Beats. And on Ghetto Zone, Kid Villain played the old man in the chorus who's bitching, the bitching old man over the Rod Stewart sample. And
the grumpy old
Turn
dude in
that
the
shit
drive-thru.
down.
the guy in the drive-thru in the skit before Dog Beats,
Right.
that was Kid Villain.
And also the Lion in Wizard of the Hood.
Kid Villain also played the lion in Wizard of the Hood. That's right.
Then to go. I'm gonna let my nine unfold.
And John Kickjazz, of course, had a verse on Dog Beat.
He had a more stronger role than John Rowe did.
That's
You know what
right.
I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
That's right. John Usler, Joey's brother, John Kickjazz, had a way more serious role.
Right.
So all 4 of us were all over Dog Beats. And
Then we also had Don, who was kind of like our Flavor Flav at the time. You know what I'm
he
saying?
was the jester.
Yeah, on the cover of Dog Beats. You know what I'm saying? He was the one wearing clown paint at the time, like, you know, acting all goofy and shit. You
Hanging
know what I'm saying?
upside down on
Even
the
though we
rope.
had not did a show yet, that was our plan.
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Our plan was to have Don be the jester, the Flavor
He
Flav.
was a fucking jester, man.
Yeah.
He was a crazy motherfucker, man.
He was. And right around before Dog Beats came out, Kid Villain, you know, we were working hard. We were promoting Dog Beats. We were fucking handing out flyers. You know, if you've read the book, you already know our lives changed from that moment on. It became ICP 24 hours a day. Failure was not an option.
That's right.
And Kid Villain soon quit the group because that was interfering with his lifestyle, you know.
Right.
Once we started working and handing out flyers and shit like that, Kid Villain was out of there.
Because he also had a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Right, no doubt.
And
Easy, wait.
he wasn't trying to pass out flyers every fucking day.
Right, no doubt.
But then we started recording the first. I'm moving fast here because then we started recording the first Joker's card, Carnival of Carnage.
Right. You want me to start taking over from here?
Yes, and now Shaggy will take over from that point.
Oh yeah, so we started recording Carnival Carnage. We actually did first couple tracks still at Miller Mitty, you know what I'm saying? And by that time, like, it took fucking forever. The dude's name was Chuck Miller that owned the place, and he was like a fucking burnt out old hippie, you know what I'm saying?
milking it.
Old school
Yeah,
hippie.
and he would just milk the clock, and like you had to be silent as fuck in the studio. If you even crumpled some chips, or you know, the chair was like, he'd turn around and be like, "The fuck," you know what I'm saying? He's trying to work.
He'd be like, "Can you please stop
Right.
squeaking your chair?"
And then like we'd like be done with the
Just
session.
chastising us.
We'd be
for
done.
being in there.
Like one song would take us like 3 fucking like 8-hour sessions. You know what I'm saying? Probably like 4. You know what I'm saying? And then once they were done, we'd be like, "Yo, can we get like a cassette of that?" He'd be like, "Okay, number 1, that's gonna be a duplication fee." You know what I'm saying? All this craziness. And what he would do?
Remember the reverse fee?
He would make a cassette, and then he would take it. Like first he wouldn't let us like see his technique. He'd take it to the front office into a dual cassette boombox and simply hit play and record. But like he'd act like he was adjusting like the levels like for a fucking half hour, charging us by the hour. You know what I'm saying? like 15 times. I don't know. I gotta redo it. You know, all this shit. You know, and then to the point where like he even had a phone up there and he had a box and it said quarters on it. You know what I'm saying? So if you use your phone, you were supposed to put a quarter in his box. So if we had to use the phone,
it was a regular phone.
Right,
It
a
wasn't
regular phone.
payphone.
It was like a shoe box or a Kleenex box.
So
You
he
know
like
what I'm saying?
old cigar box.
So we just like grabbed
Yeah.
the fucking thing and shake it.
And act like we put a quarter in it.
Like you couldn't tell the difference. We didn't give a fuck though. You know what I'm saying?
And then like if we had like let's say a snare, right? We would be like, "Can you play that backwards? Can you make that reverse?" And he would say,
Reverse
"Well, of course there's the reverse fee."
Just making shit up, man.
Like that's not a normal fucking thing you do in a studio.
Craziness, man.
But there was all these
Reverse fee.
additional fees
Fucking
for
revert,
everything.
right? Oh, you want that's hi-hat fees? You know what I'm saying?
And it was funny because we'd be working at there was only one two man couch, like a love seat in there. And you'd look over there and there'd be 7 ninjas sitting on the couch.
Quietly. Real quiet.
Fuck, so you
It'd
didn't get yelled
it'd
at.
be Noel, John Klein, John Rode, John Usler, Rudy, Lacey, and me and Joey,
Just all pitched up. On
all
the love
sitting
seat.
on a 2-man couch.
That's a lot of love.
Right.
And that old dude
Lots
was
of love to
scary,
spread
I gotta
around.
be honest with you.
He was,
Yeah.
yeah, he's just a ninja.
You're a little kid, it was scary.
And the more studio, the more, like in the beginning, everybody was there for the whole session.
And yeah, near the end of the Miller Mini days, it'd just be the bare essentials there. It'd be,
Yeah.
It'd be me, Joe, and John.
Yeah. That shit played out quick.
There's your boys on the couch fee.
Yeah. All our boys were there at the beginning, though.
So anyhow, the reason why we started going there is because like when we first went there, one of his clients was Merciless Amir, and he was like a local guy from Detroit that we fucking loved. You know what I'm saying? Day Without a Rhyme.
That's right.
And we were like, holy shit, Merciless Amir. You know that sold us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we walked in the studio. We said, "Do you guys make rap?" And he said, "Sure, I'll play you something." And all of a sudden we heard "A Day Without a Rhyme,"
Without
and
a
we
rhyme,
were
sound,
fucking
sound, sound.
instantly sold.
Right, just fucking starstruck.
I
by
remember
Chuck
driving
Miller
home from the studio. We were like, you know, maybe we can meet him. You know, maybe we can get him on a track. You know. And by the way, years later, I met Merciless Amir. And that's all he ever did was that song. He never even came out with an album.
Wow.
That song was the end of his career.
Wow.
Beginning and
It was a
end.
good
He
fucking
must have had a
song,
girlfriend.
man.
He was a sellout bitch with a girlfriend. So anyhow, so like I don't even remember. I think it was just straight up Yellow Pages. We found the Temper Mill Studios, which is on Hilton and Ferndale, which is right down the street from both of where we lived. You know what I'm saying? And we went in there, and it was pretty much an editing suite, but there was a little room to the side that Mike Clark was renting out to do rap sessions. You know, that's all he did was rap.
And we were like, who have you done?
Right. He just named everybody.
First 2 names, he was like, Kid Rock, Esham. We were like, what?
Who at that point were the 2 biggest motherfuckers in Detroit.
That's
know what
all
I'm
you
saying?
had to say.
Huge,
Kid Rock
you know?
and Esham ran Detroit at that
Right,
time.
like
you know?
like no other. You know, they were selling more records than national acts just in Detroit. You know what I'm saying? And so we were sold. Then the first session we did.
Wait, let me tell the memory real quick. I remember when we had Awesome Dre, who was our hero. We had Awesome Dre coming to the studio to do a song with us. He was going to be on the song Taste.
Yep.
The last song on
Yeah.
Carnival of Carnage. But
Side 2.
when we walked into the studio to do the session that day, Esham was in there. And we had
Doing
just
some
met
editing,
Esham.
yeah.
And we were like, oh my God, that's Esham, you know?
Like
and,
a couple little girls.
yeah, straight up. And Esham was like,
That's
you know,
how
we
used
were
to be
talking to
listening to
Esham.
him.
And he was like, we told Esham, we said, we got Awesome Dre coming to be on this song, you know? And he was like, are you paying him? And we were like, yeah, $500. And $500 back then was
Oh
gold.
man, that was so much fucking money.
It was like,
When you're 17 years old, come
That's
on,
a lot
man.
of fun.
$500, forget about it, man.
we saved up forever for that $500. And I remember Awesome Dre's manager had a fucking,
He came to your girlfriend's apartment.
he had a suitcase
A
and
briefcase.
a suit on,
A briefcase.
with a handcuff.
With hands.
Oh man.
Blues Brothers style.
Straight up.
With
dog.
handcuffs. and he had a fucking suit on. And he came into Karen's house to negotiate a $500 verse.
Wow.
All right. And Awesome Dre didn't say a word. He just sat there and his manager did all the talking.
How it should be.
And anyway, so we had Awesome Dre coming down to do the verse. And when Esham was there, and
That day, he was coming to do the verse.
and then Esham was like, I'll do the verse for $500. And right then, I shit my panties. Right then. And I quickly called Awesome Dre, and I was like,
And man, we lost that $500.
we were like, we lost the reels. And he was like, what? And I was like, we lost the reels. We lost the music.
For you youngsters out there, you used to record on big reel-to-reel shits.
That's right.
16-track
And he was like,
reel-to-reels.
how did you lose the reels? You know, because the reels are like,
They're big as fuck. Each one is big as a fucking steering
Right.
wheel. you
and it
know?
never leaves the studio.
Right. They're put away in big metal cans on a shelf. You know what I'm saying?
And I just was lying through. I was so bad at lying. I was just like, we lost the reels. And then I just hung up, you know. But anyway, I remember going to John Klein's house, and I remember playing him Taste. And I remember when you first heard Esham's voice, I remember you looked at me and you went, what? And I felt so proud.
That's still the shit.
Yeah. I was so fucking proud. John Klein was, and we were playing it in John's Escort.
Yeah, it had stupid sounds in it.
Yeah,
all pieced
stupid
together
sounds.
from shit that we had stolen. The speakers in the back, there was like a couple amps, like fucking 5 EQs.
Sorry,
we used to
pizza
filter
truck
out
driver.
everything but the bass.
And I'll
Anthony
just
Q.
never forget.
MC80E.
I'll never forget John looking at me and going, what? Because, you know, here we had Esham on a
Right.
song, you
Right,
know.
we weren't absolute shit. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? We were Nathan. But anywho, so you know what I'm saying? We were the speed that Mike Clark worked at was like fucking wig blowing. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, what the fuck? He just grabbed something and loop it up, and you'd have a beat. Just add some like bass and like hi hats. You know what I'm saying? Grab a couple samples, and the shit was like bam, 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 done. We were like, we're getting a song done a session. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it was crazy. You know what I'm saying?
We wanted to go back and fucking hurt Chuck Miller.
Oh,
man.
God, we wanted to fucking murder him. You know what I'm saying? Take his fucking little chain stick and bust him in the head with it. But and the Zorgatron
We wanted to
attack him.
smash his Zorgatron.
couldn't do that,
Zorgatron. No, it would have turned on us, no
Yeah.
question. But
The Zorgatron, by the way, was this giant piece of fucking equipment that was like seriously 8 feet tall.
we had no idea what it was, but it said Zorgatron really big on the top.
And we were scared.
bunch of
We were
muscles.
scared that it was actually a robot,
like a transformer.
like a fucking. What were those
Optimus
old
Prime.
giant robots called, Rob?
The Autobots.
Yeah, like no, not a
Transformer.
Transformer.
What are you
No,
Oh, like a mech, like from BattleTech.
yeah,
Robotech.
Battle-
yeah, Robotech.
Oh, you're talking about
Battletech.
mechs from
Yeah.
Battletech.
Yeah, we thought it was a mech,
Or a mech, yeah. Okay.
a giant fucking robot that attacks you.
Zorgatron. but anyway, so whatever, we're getting the record done. And I remember one of the sessions we did Black in Your Eyes.
Look at how bored KG is.
You just woke him
He's,
up.
can I check
He
out
woke
for
him
us?
up.
Give me a call when you need me.
He
again,
was
guys.
paying no attention.
He's watching wrestling.
He was
on
reading
another
wrestling
fucking-
news.
He's reading the sheets.
You're so right, Rudy. He was watching wrestling.
I don't have anything to add to these stories. You guys are on a fucking tear, man. I'm fucking soaking in the flavor. I don't have
Right?
the top on my head anymore after those announcements, man.
Anyhow, so when we were at the Temper Mill working with Mike, it was always just me, Joe, and John that were up in there during the sessions, you know what I'm saying, just knocking the shit out. And then we had went to Esham's to do Black in Your Eyes, and man, it was like his mom's house, and it was the middle of the fucking summer, and I remember I fucking had white shorts on, and I fucking shit myself. I thought it was a fart, of course. You know what I'm saying? And so we had to
Sharted.
stop at the gas station to get toilet paper. I'm trying to like fucking cover this shit up. You know what I'm saying? Like, what a fucking time. We're going to Esham's to fucking record a song, and I fucking
You
shit
got
my
shit,
pants.
man.
And it wasn't out of nerves. I just like thought I farted and the shit, you know what I'm saying? I sharted, I guess you call it. You know what I'm saying?
Why did I leave this out of the book?
That's for the second book.
Because I needed that knowledge for now, tonight.
Right.
You can't tell everything in all the books. But anyhow, so then we get in there, you know what I'm saying? He has no air in his house, and his vocal booth was in the closet.
This was like 95 degrees.
Yo, this was
weather.
like August. You know what I'm saying? It was just like so fucking hot. and just in that fucking vocal
Load
booth,
up Black in Your Eyes, you
Slash-
guys.
slash-
We're gonna play that when he's done with this story.
slash fucking closet. You know what I'm saying? It was just like fuck, man. It's like you had the like Jim Carrey and Pet Detective and a rhinoceros. You know what I'm saying? Just wringing your fucking underwear out. You know what I'm saying? It was just fucking ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? But we got the shit done. You know what I'm saying? Then we went back to mics. And we're a tight ass unit, you know what I'm saying? We're getting the record done,
Let's
and we're getting it done quick, you know what
Let's
I'm
take
saying?
a quick time out and play some of Black in Your Eyes off Carnival of Carnage, which is
Me and my brother John. Yeah.
Shaggy 2 Dope and John Kickjazz off the first Joker's card, Carnival of Carnage. This is Black in Your Eyes, which actually, believe it or not, I can't believe I'm admitting this, but the song was actually about beating bitches
It
down.
was scantless as fuck. Black in Your Eyes. About knocking bitches
It was
out.
about knocking out bitches.
We were young and crazy.
We were
man.
young and crazy, trying to be as outrageous
Trying
as
to be as
possible.
scantless as we could.
Well, on that note, black in your eyes, fellas.
Well, then I sucked his nuts.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Wow, did you fuck him?
Well, yeah, he fucked me in the ass.
Wow, what about Rodney?
Fuck him. What he doesn't know won't hurt him. Hold on a second. Hello?
Hey, you dumb fucking bitch! I heard you fucked on me! What the fuck you doing? When I see him, I'ma kick your motherfucking...
Hi.
Well, who is that?
Oh, wrong number.
So, yeah, like I was saying, you know, we had our Temper Mill studio crew, you know what I'm saying, tight as fuck. It was Mike Clark, me, Joe, and my brother John. And shit was going good, man. We were knocking the shit out, you know what I'm saying? Good fucking, like, time, good speed, you know what I'm saying? Especially compared to Miller Midi and whatnot, you know what I'm saying? Then,
And at night we were working.
no doubt, you know what I'm saying?
Putting flyers up at every fucking
hell yeah,
nightclub.
everywhere we could, yeah.
Every fucking party, going up and down grass shit, handing out dog beats.
Yeah, because we were promoting dog beats at that time. And then we finished the record, okay? And then all of a sudden...
No, we were trying to raise... We finished recording the album.
Yeah.
And we were trying to raise money to press
to press
it up.
it. Yeah, we're trying to raise money to press it up. John had a job, you had a job, of course. Alex did his thing, and I was the fucking deadbeat. You know, I was stealing shit.
You were stealing shit though. You were stealing shit.
I was
and bringing
trying.
the money.
Right, I couldn't do the 9 to 5 thing. But I had too many
thought that
sticky
counts.
fingers. Huh?
It's the thought that counts.
Right. Although it wasn't
Rudy
as much
was
as these
chipping
guys.
in. Rudy was chipping
Rob was sending money home from the
in.
army.
Rob was
Oh,
sending
yeah.
money from the army.
We were all throwing
was
down.
chipping in. Everybody was trying to help us press up that first
Right.
Joker's
Yes,
card.
yes.
And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, John started getting with this broad. I think her name was Megan, but I
It
don't
was
remember.
Crystal.
No, that was already after that. That was
not
or,
yet.
yeah,
They
that
were
that
all
was after
Crystal.
that. That was in high school or whatever. Yeah, so whatever. But yeah, whatever. I don't know. Fucking that timetable's fucked up. But this broad was just some chick that he was fucking or whatever. But he started getting like a little more serious with her. I'm pretty sure her name was Megan. But that's besides the point. But so anyhow, he slowly started just like
Selling out a little bit.
yeah, he wasn't going out doing flyers. He wasn't, he wasn't being a part of the team. You know what I'm saying? And then, we were confronting him like, "What's up, man? You know what I'm saying? You still on this or what? You know what I'm saying?" And I can't remember exact words, but I think
He started acting real flaky,
yeah.
man.
But the whole thing about him, you got to know, he always had a really quick temper. You know what I'm saying? A very strong temper. You know
he
what I'm
was
saying?
super cool. And
Coolest
then-
guy ever, but
like,
if you push the wrong button,
Yeah.
we used to call it the bear punch. You know what I'm saying? Because you get pissed
Yeah,
off,
wow,
and
the
he'd
bear
fucking
punch.
sock you and just, man, floor you. You know what I'm saying? The fucking bear punch. So nobody ever wanted to get bear punched, so you wouldn't push him to the bear punch.
Right.
So you'd like, you knew your limit. As soon
You
as
know
they-
who caught the bear punch more than anybody?
Joey's back.
Joey.
Me?
His back. That's why your back's fucked up. That's the truth.
It wasn't from Milwaukee, motherfucker.
And that's from getting punched in the stomach. It
they
fucked my back
started
up.
The spine's going out.
So anyhow, started getting confrontational, not to the fighting or bear punch part, to that far along, but when his face got like that, nose flared, and he started getting fucking mad about shit, that's when you knew to ease up. And he pretty much in a nutshell was like, I ain't with it no more. I'm spending more time with this Megan broad, all this and that. And me and Joe were crushed.
We were like, we need to have a meeting.
Yeah, we were
We
crushed.
need to have a meeting in
with him,
Alex's
with Alex's basement, with
We
John.
need to have a fucking meeting. And
'Cause
then
this was already after he ain't showed up to mad shit, you know what I'm saying?
And then
the editing, all that shit, he missed out on all that, you know what I'm saying? And we took him down
We
in
need to have a
Alex's mom's
meeting.
basement.
This is my boy. Listen, this is my fucking boy.
And my brother.
From the 6th grade. All right?
Right.
Man, I feel like crying.
Right.
Straight up. From thinking about this shit. It's like, I just want to explain to everybody that my life growing up through childhood in my mind is like one color. And then when ICP started up until today, it's like another shade.
Right.
So in a lot of ways, it feels like yesterday this shit happened.
Hell yeah.
You know what I mean? Because once we started ICP, that's all it was.
Right.
You know, so like that's like a certain shade. And everything before that is like another shade. And so it feels like this shit happened last week. I'm actually recalling the feelings.
Right, as you're talking, yeah, no doubt. It
Of
drums up
what
feelings,
that was
you know
like
what I'm saying?
when he was flaking out and like started to withdraw. It was so important to us. It was the first
this was like
Joker card. You know
right,
what I'm saying?
Dog Beast was selling a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And this
Making
record,
noise.
And on this record, Carnival Carnage, we had Esham on one side,
And
Kid Rock on the other
other
side.
Because the two biggest names in Detroit were Esham and Kid Rock.
And
so
they were
what did
big
we
time
do?
rivals. They fucking couldn't stand
Right,
each other.
right,
Made them both
right.
on a fucking
On
record.
one record.
For
man.
five
We got 'em.
nowadays, like $500 ain't
We
shit
got
for that kind of
Esham
shit.
for $500 at a moment of weakness. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
he had money back then. But he must have needed it or something. And he rapped on our shit. And then Kid Rock, who Mike Clark knew.
Right, was down by law with.
Kid Rock was down by law with Mike Clark. And Mike was like, I'll call him for you. And
We were
Kid
like,
Rock was like, Esham did it? How much? We were like 500. And he was like, I'll do it for 600. Straight up. And he was like, and if Mike Clark does the track.
Oh, you know what?
Because back then we made our own beats.
Yeah, we sat in the studio with Mike and we made everything together. You know what I'm saying?
All the way up until Malenko, we
Right,
did it
yeah,
like
right.
And then it did by this time at the very end. Actually, I think it was just that one track, maybe one or two tracks. Mike had moved studios into the basement of a intern almost that he was working with named Laura Grab. Because that's where Kid Rock cut his vocals.
Right.
Because the first night he came, he couldn't do it because he was too drunk.
He got fucked up in the studio.
Way too drunk.
But he couldn't do it. But he fucked up. He couldn't do it, and he came back the next morning. He was cool.
And you're right, and freaked it.
And when he first came the first night, he had all his boys
his
with
crew,
him.
He's like whipping his dick out, pissing all over the driveway, just
Being a dick,
belligerent
acting like
drunk.
a fucking,
Like a superstar
dickhead.
dickhead,
But he actually came back the next morning by himself, all serious, and did it. And another thing, if you listen to the lyrics on that record, by accident, by poor writing, I actually diss him. by poor writing, I said, Kid Rock will probably eat that shit. I said, and if you're a bitch and you got grits, Kid Rock will probably eat that shit. You know, because he had a record called Grit Sandwiches for breakfast.
And his big song off it was Yodeling in the Valley.
Yeah. It was called Yodeling in the
about
Valley,
eating
and his
pussy.
his album was called Grit Sandwiches for Breakfast.
Yep.
So I said, and if you're a bitch and you got grits, Kid Rock will probably eat that shit. And then so Kid Rock asked me about that. He was like, what's up with that? Kid Rock will probably eat that shit. And I was like, you know, yodeling in the valley. You know what I'm saying?
That's back when we were teenagers. Eating pussy was like, what? You know what I'm saying?
And I was like,
that's how you get fucking pimples around your mouth.
I was like yodeling in the valley. You know, that was his song.
Whole sores.
Yodeling in the valley. And he was like, I was like yodeling. I can't say it. I was like yodeling in the valley.
Yodeling in the valley.
You know, great sandwiches for breakfast. And he was like, So then in his lyrics, he said, I said, what does he say? I said, fuck you, motherfucker.
Oh,
you know,
yeah. I just said I was, motherfucker.
Yeah. He like,
right.
if you listen
Kid
to
Rock,
it,
he ad-libbed it.
he
I just
jabbed
said
back.
He ad-libbed it.
motherfucker.
Yep.
Yeah. So anywho, so the meeting, you know what I'm saying? So we got John, and he agreed to cut. Like we were, like he wasn't, like, you know what I'm saying. Even though I live with him, I like was seeing him less and less. You know what I'm saying? And I actually talked to him, and he was like, okay, I'll come for this meeting, but you know, I'm telling you right now, you know, I'm not gonna change my mind.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Then we got him in the basement, and I don't remember that too well what we had said, but I'm sure
I'll
you
tell
do.
you what happened.
So go ahead.
We had the big meeting, you know what I'm saying? And everything was on the line because we had finished the first motherfucking Joker's card.
Right. We were thinking career's over if he's not in this shit. You know what I'm saying? There's three of us on there.
How are we gonna go back and take him off the record? We didn't even have the fucking
Right, they didn't have Pro Tools for that back then and shit. And
They didn't have Pro Tools, people.
That's right.
When you
it was
did a
real
mix,
to real. You had to splice.
you had to work everything by hand.
Yep.
You couldn't go back
Punch
in and
out
load
everything.
a song up all easy and take his
look on a
fucking-
computer screen and
and take his vocals off. Man, you had to work everything by hand. When we ran a mix, that means when we went to go to tape,
all three of us were
all
on the board.
three of us were working
punching
something
out,
different.
hitting the echoes. Fucking
Even
turning
Rudy was
shit
working
down.
shit. All three of us would be
It's
working
true.
a knob.
It's true.
And we'd have to turn a certain
Yep.
knob
And
up
it
at a certain
usually
point.
take you like 5 or 6 runs to get a good mix.
We'd have
good
to
enough
pull
mix.
this track down because this vocal was too loud.
Right.
And
Everything had to be
Right.
perfect, clean.
Everybody had
Your
notes.
tracks doubled up with shit.
Everybody had notes of what
yeah,
they had
man.
to do.
It was tedious
and we
work.
would be like, ready, set, go. And everybody
Yep.
knew when they had
At
to
one
work
time,
shit.
yep.
Run through practicing, all that shit.
So
man.
anyway, when we had the record finished and John was all over the album and fucking, he no-showed the meeting.
Straight
And we
no-show.
were crushed.
Yeah.
That was it. Like, to no-show that meeting was like to say, fuck you, Joe Bruce. Like, my boy, my best friend.
Not just Joe Bruce, but fuck you, Joey.
Fuck you,
as well.
Joey.
But I
Fuck
looked at
ICP.
him like he was your brother. Like,
Right.
you guys are always going to be down, Like,
But it didn't turn out that way for a
no,
long
it
time,
didn't.
you
That
know
was
what I'm saying?
extremely shocking, though.
Right.
But I looked at it like he's going to be down with Joey no matter what.
Right.
But my boy, since we were adolescents, since we were children, you know what I'm saying? Like poop your pants.
Right.
Like
right.
Joey pooped his pants when he was older.
He still does.
Everybody
I mean, like-
shits their pants. If you say you ain't
Once
shit
in a
your
while.
pants in the last 10 years, you're a fucking lie.
I'm talking about, since,
I'm not talking a log.
I'm talking about since the age of if you go to the roller rink, your parents stay there with you.
Right.
I'm talking about since that age, all right, till we were fucking swigging 40s, being a gang in Southwest Detroit.
Right. Right.
All right?
Right.
All that time. And then he no-showed. We decided we weren't going to be wrestlers for a living. We were going to be rappers.
Yep.
And
That's
when
what
we
we're
made
gonna
that
do.
call, it was Lyenda.
Right. Right.
It was, what's Lyenda mean, Rob?
Well, that's like all or nothing.
That's
Lyanda.
right.
Yeah, Lyanda.
It meant this ain't little kid shit no more.
Right. This is what we're about to do for
There's
a
no-
living.
there's
This
no
is a
turning back.
This is a
Failure
career.
is not an option.
There's no turning
this
back.
is a career,
You're
you know?
going one way, and that's it.
And that totally.
Come hell or high water, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I mean, as years went by, of course, it didn't fuck us. I mean, who knows what would have happened?
I
But
remember
at
the
that
feeling.
time, we were crushed. That fucked us.
I
you know? We were
remember
like,
the feeling when he was 15 minutes late. I remember the feeling when he was 20 minutes late.
And like Alex and Joe are looking at me like it's my fault. I'm like, what the fuck? I don't know. You
we
know?
thought this motherfucker's next.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Like,
I
I
swear to
don't
God,
know.
we
I'm
thought
in
that.
this. I'm
We
in.
thought.
Right.
I looked at Joey like, because Joey was my boy.
Right.
Okay. You know what I'm saying? But I met him because he was John's little brother.
Right. Right.
You see what I'm saying? And Joey was my boy. You see what I'm saying? But me and John went to school together. Joey was 2 grades younger.
One grade.
One
But
grade
nonetheless,
younger.
I still miss, middle school. I was in elementary school. They're out of elementary school, went to high school, and I was still in middle. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But nonetheless,
Put it
You
like
were,
this.
you were still a younger
Put it
cat
like
than
this.
these
At
guys.
this time,
Right.
at this time, when I called and his mom answered the phone, I was like, "Let me speak to John." Can I speak to John? You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
It was just like that.
Right.
It was just right.
Or she just know. I mean, it'd just be like, hey, what's up, Don?
Like we love
John,
each other.
right.
You know what I'm saying? We were in the same
Right.
crew,
Right.
but like it was
Right,
like
you would call for John.
Right.
yeah, it was like, can I talk to John?
I
You know
remember.
what I'm saying?
I remember.
It's just how it was. You know what I'm saying? So
He was the first guy that you introduced me to before Joey.
right.
Right from the grip.
So
Right from the grip.
when
Not
John
entirely true because I was there behind Joe Lewis, but whatever. That's another
Oh
story.
yeah, that's true.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
right, because you were
yeah,
wrestling. Yeah.
That's
But
right.
when
That's
John no-showed,
I won your love that
you
day.
know, it was like as the minutes went by, the air left my motherfucking lungs. You know what I'm saying? And Joey, we looked at Joey like,
Right, I caught the fucking shit out of the stick for it. You know?
like,
But I was in it to win it. I was there. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't going nowhere.
it was the most. I'll tell you why that was a defining moment for Joey. Because I don't give a fuck what age he was. That was the day Joey became a man.
I was just about to say, man.
I swear to God, that was the
You
day.
forgot when I actually killed that bear with my bare hands?
And the fake mustache.
I'm not even kidding.
The fake mustache at the titty bar.
Right, that's the day.
I'm not even
That was
kidding.
man.
I know, I feel what you're saying.
Right.
That was the day he became a man. That was the day he fucking grew up. And
Stood
said,
right on his own.
Yep, and said,
Damn right.
I'm making a call for myself in this life. You know what I'm saying? That's epic.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And he fucking stayed in the group. Next thing you know, me and Joey.
Next thing you know, we're doing Woodstock 99. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Next thing you know, we're doing Gathering of Juggalos. You know
Next
the
thing you
fucking
know,
story.
we're millionaires together.
Right.
Next
You know
thing
what
you
I'm
know,
saying?
we're in a space shuttle doing
Right.
fucking concerts on
Fucking
Mars.
doing concerts at fucking Cobo Arena.
Next
man.
thing you know,
Shit.
Kevin Gill's putting us in a video game.
Right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Honest to God,
So-
all kidding aside, that was the day
Getting that feedback again, fellas.
me and Joey became inseparable.
The buzz is returned. Anyhow, and it was another defining moment right there too, because basically that's when our crew split. You know what I'm saying?
Into two factions.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. I think you had already moved by then.
Yeah, right before that, I had split to the east side. Cause
Yeah.
that's when Joe would
So
have
you
to
were
come back.
neutral.
I was neutral. Oh, I was neutral.
You
but I
would
was
pop
the
up.
east side
Noel,
tank cell.
Noel would pop up on both sides.
So it's like it was kind of
Right,
like
because-
John's crew and our crew. You know
I
what I'm
remember.
saying?
I remember those days, like
Jamie
seeing
and
John, and we wouldn't even
John,
speak to
you know,
him and shit.
Jeff
Who was in
Allen's
the
with
cruise? Who was in the cruise?
It was me, you, Billy, Chucky,
Rob,
Nate.
Rudy,
Nate.
yeah.
Nate. We should get
Rudy,
Nate on the
Nate.
phone. Nate's
Yeah.
listening. I told Nate that listen. Let's get Nate on the phone.
Don Lichtel too when he was around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Actually,
that-
Nate and I were hanging out a lot back then.
Right, you were in the middle.
Here he is,
But
right
then
here.
you know, like John Klein and my brother John and John Rode and Jimmy by
I think
Siegel.
everyone
Yeah.
bounced around a little.
Yeah.
Every,
People know because we're talking about Nate the Mac.
yeah.
Right. That's right.
But anyhow, so like, and that put me in a really crazy position.
Fuck
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? Like me in it, cause like I still was living with my mom. Well, not full time, but you know what I'm saying. But like I was still living over there, so like you know I'd bump into John, and he just kind of like not mean mug me,
We
but
need to get Nate on the Mac. Nate the Mac on the
get
phone.
Nate on the Mac instantly.
We're getting Nate. Nate, we're
Get
calling
him on
you.
the Mac phone.
We're calling Nate right now. Nate had a son. All right, and his baby's mama. Listen to what a man. Nate
He
is.
was in the army, and
Listen to this.
he got a chick pregnant.
He got a chick pregnant because he stuck his dick in her. All right,
That's how it happens.
that's how it happened.
Yeah?
Really?
And he had a son. Check this out. A man. You want to hear man? This is why I made the song Fuck My Father. Because my father is my real father, me and Rob's father, is such a bitch. If you don't raise your kid, you know what I'm saying? Nate's baby's mama lived in New Jersey. Nate up and moved out
Yep.
to New Jersey to be near his son. Didn't know a soul. Didn't have a job. Didn't have shit.
Didn't hesitate.
Fresh
and
out
moved-
the army.
Walked in there
Walked
blindsided.
into New Jersey. Walked all the way. Might as well
He
have.
He
was
had
on
some
a
good walking
pilgrimage.
shoes.
He would have if he had to.
Yeah.
You
no
know what
doubt,
I'm saying?
No doubt.
And to be near his son, left everything he knew about life. And now he's a motherfucking cop. And he tells me stories
Which
about how
is-
he lets juggalos off the hook all
That's
the
the
time.
shit.
Which is
That's the
crazy
shit.
that he became a cop.
Yeah, no
because
doubt. That
he-
blew my way.
Right.
I was just
He
like,
was
what?
He was worse than all of us.
Yeah, as far as somebody that was on the criminal path, that was
Right.
Nate the Mac. He was
Right.
like, I would go so far to say he was the most outrageous out of all of
I
us.
remember when Nate
Like-
used to break into crack houses and
Right.
steal shotguns.
And that badass
But-
leather 3/4 coat that I used to sport.
And he
Yeah.
got that
Everyone
scar.
sported
He
that.
got that
Yeah, we all
scar
borrowed it at one
that
time.
runs across
Right,
his
got
face.
busted in the head with a
right?
bottle
And it
in
was
a
just looks like he was just all proud of it. Like, you know, he's got his whole face split open in a barroom.
He's got a scar that goes from his eye to his motherfucking chin, a gigantic scar. And when he got that scar, he was like, "Fuck the world, man."
But let me also say this about Nate the Mac, a memory that stands, and he'll forever be in my debt for this, man. And I
he'll be in
you
your
talk,
debt.
You talk
you're
about
in his debt.
You right. You know what I mean. But
No.
you're
I do now.
you talk about feeling emotion and everything. I remember I had my son Rudy, and we didn't have nothing, man. And at Christmas time, and it was you and Nate, man. You guys stole the Christmas tree, man. Brought it over to the house. Brought presents for Rudy, man. And
That's right.
that'll forever be in my heart, man.
That's right.
To the day I die.
We came as Santa Claus.
Yes, dressed as Santa Claus, man.
That's right.
You know what?
Stole every single present
Every
from Frank's
one.
Nursery
And
Crabs.
Yes.
That's why he was such a character, man. 'Cause
Yes.
like, you know, he had that. Remember, he had that sawed-off shotgun.
Yes, I
He
do.
was like,
It went off above his head.
like
I remember that probably more than anybody
He
because
was-
John Klein almost shot my head off.
whenever we had any kind of beef, it was go to Nate's to get the sawed-off. You know what I'm saying? And then we'd have it, you know, cradled in a jacket. You know what I mean, ready to use it just in case. You know what I'm saying?
Joe
now this
came and
is
got that every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
He would be calling, "Who's got it?
And
I need it."
this is the same guy that, you know, when I went into the Army, he was writing me. Like, all the time, you know what I'm saying? Like, write me letters and shit.
Where's he at?
support me, you know what I'm saying?
Nate, you there?
Yeah, what's up, brother?
Nate the
What
Mac.
up, Nate the Mac?
Nate the
What's
Mac in
up?
the house.
Nate the Mac came with us to Frank Caneen's house
Right.
to bring terror upon Frank Caneen.
Right. That the real name was never used, but that's.
Oh, shit. How long is that statute of limitations?
It's done. You're good. It's
We
done.
might have to answer for that.
You didn't murder him.
Right.
Or did you?
Right.
Hit
We
that
caused,
button.
we straight up terrorized them.
Right.
I don't want to get Nate fired, but
Right.
He's
Nate's
already
like,
done.
I'm a law enforcement now. I can't be talking that
Nate,
crazy shit.
you've been listening. Do you have anything to add to our story so far? Yellow.
He
Nate?
hung up. You start talking about
Right,
all this
you-
fucking. He was like,
They
I'm
just
out.
arrested
Built
him.
them real beans. He was like, click.
Wrong Nate.
He was like, I don't know this motherfucker.
You're talking about Nate Billions, not Nate Williams.
Nate, you there?
Yeah, I can barely hear you, though. I'm on this cell phone.
Adjust your hearing aid.
Nate, have you been watching the show?
I can barely hear you. I'm
Have
gonna call
you
back
been
on the
watching-
landline.
Oh,
Can you guys fix that?
He said page him.
All right, we're gonna call you back in a minute.
Hit him up on the pager.
We'll call you back in a minute.
Now, Joey, you and Nate, wasn't it Nate that broke into that Coney Island?
The Coney Island, yeah. I wanted to hear that
No.
story.
Yeah.
No, that wasn't him.
That
That
wasn't
was this dude Jay Mills.
Oh, okay. I thought it was you and Nate.
No, it was not Nate.
God,
yeah.
for some reason I thought it was Nate that
Yeah,
whole time.
the whole
too.
Man, what
time,
the
yeah.
fuck?
Nah.
I'm pissed off. Why can't we fucking call Nate, man?
We're gonna call him, but on the normal phone or whatever. I think.
Well, he said he was gonna call back on the landline
What kind
because
of
it's
fucking cheap ass Radio Shack shit is this? Are you there, Nate?
Yeah, but it sounds like you're like 10 miles away. I cannot.
Well,
we're a lot more
we
than
hear
10
you
miles
now.
away.
We hear you now. Can you hear me?
I got it now.
Send the Jeep to go pick him up.
He's like, I got it now.
All right, Nate, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, good. Nate's mad.
Benny,
Frustrated.
All right, Nate, I think we got you on the line now. Everything cool? Can you hear me?
Just barely, man.
Okay, well, that's the best we can do. We're on cheap-ass equipment. Have you been watching the show?
What?
It took like 10
Never
minutes.
mind, man.
Do you want to bring it over?
Anyhow.
Anyways, yeah.
Look it up.
The crew was split up at that point.
Yeah, who was in John and the other?
That's
who was
what
on the other
we had
team?
already said. It was John Klein, Jimmy by Siegel, fuck, I just like rattle off like a billion names. No, John Rowe.
John Rowe.
I don't know, it was a bunch of dudes, you know what I'm saying? But like I was saying, which really made it fucking stale and uncomfortable for me because like I was still in the same house as John. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And we kind of were like on silent treatment, like, you know what I'm saying, mode. You know what I'm saying?
So what was that like when John left and you're living in the same house?
Dog, it was so fucking uncomfortable and stale. You know what I'm saying? It was like fucking stale as shit. But I wasn't home that often. You know what I'm saying? Because like every day I'd wake up, we go to Hot Hits, sit in the back room, or go to, you know, downstairs in Alex's mom's basement.
Go to work.
Right. And then as soon as we're done with that, we go out flying. You know what I'm saying? Or we go to record stores for consignment or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But yeah, so like then like there's nothing we could do, so we had to come out with the record. You know what I'm saying? We had to come out with it. We weren't just gonna not come out with it, you know. And I don't believe we never really explained what happened at that point. You know what I'm saying? We're just like, it's just two members.
We didn't have nobody to explain it to.
Right, at that point, yeah.
And no way to explain it. This is before the internet.
Right, it's not like you could fill out a flyer and put that in all the record
We
stores.
were still brand new. We just came out with it like, fuck it, here it is. You know what I'm saying? Here's the album. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, when we did our first show, the first thing we did was we were like, we got to replace John.
Right. So by this point, we were hanging out downtown a lot, and Joe had got a job at well, actually, he didn't get a job yet, but he hooked up with Greasy, Eric Olson.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Then all of a sudden, like, he was working.
That was at St. Andrews.
Yeah,
But
St.
before
Andrews
that,
Hall.
I just want to add that I did an appearance covering for John.
Yes, you did.
At
the Motor City Music Awards. Yeah.
And I wore the paint and everything.
Yeah,
that's right.
And nobody knew who I was.
They didn't know.
Nobody knew who we were.
Right, exactly. Nobody knew who anybody was at the time, so it didn't really matter.
Yeah, somehow we were on appearance, and then we got slammed for it. That Stuart Frankie dude, he called us a bunch of shitty rapping mimes or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And we were pissed.
Yeah,
but we won the award. Right?
Yes,
I remember accepting the award. I felt like the biggest sham, you know. Like,
John left the group, and we did an appearance at the Motor City Music Awards. We were all super excited about it, and Rob stood in for John. He had to learn the song, and we did Dog.
And we actually did an in-store out by like Marine City or something like that. We used Greasy before he was actually recorded anything. You know what I'm saying? And we are out there doing an in-store. You know what I'm saying?
But like idiots, in a moment of weakness, you know, we added Greasy to the group.
Right.
You know, we thought
because we were hanging with him. Like he knew everybody
kid wasn't
downtown.
even a rapper. You know what I'm saying?
Here, can you show this fresh picture?
Yeah, it's the guy that everybody says looks like Tom Waits. To the
Show
right.
Greasy.
To the right.
That's Greasy.
Yeah.
Put a close up on Greasy. Yeah. See that we added this guy to the group in a moment of staleness, and he was in it for like a week.
Right.
He was in it enough to get the picture taken.
Exactly, it's true.
Because like after that we started recording Beverly Kills. You know what I'm saying?
This is him doing an in-store.
I believe that's the one I speak of.
We did an autograph signing with him. Yeah, and he hadn't even done anything.
Nothing.
And he was signing
he braided his hair. He did a little something.
No, I'm saying he wasn't even on any music.
Didn't he also leave the group though? It was his choice, right?
I think it was a mutual thing.
I think.
Another girlfriend.
Actually, it was.
Yeah.
It was his fortune cookie.
He did get a girlfriend.
It was his fortune cookie.
He called her. She was Asian, and he called her my little fortune cookie. And we wanted to
punch
him
I'm not
in the fucking mouth.
He was like, I'm not making no money. I can't do this. We weren't making no fucking money.
That's how I remember it. He left.
Yeah, because of that bitch.
That's right.
Yeah.
And he became a fucking ultimate fighter before that shit was ever
Right.
popular.
That's right. That's right.
He became a shoot fighter.
But yeah, so we started recording. Like Carnival Carnage was selling, you know what I'm saying? Because it had Esham and Kid Rock on it, you know, that was a big selling point on it, and it was selling good. I mean, for like like
local,
rinky dink operation we were back then, you know what I'm saying?
Now, Noel, did you bump into John at this point when he was fresh out of the group? Did you ever see him anywhere and talk to him about it or anything?
I had talked to him a few times, but at that point he was a sellout, right? He was with that girl. It was the same with me as it was with everybody else, because he slowly kind of faded away from me as I moved to the east side. He had already kind of faded away from you guys, so... And the bear punch is always...
That'd be a better question.
Nobody wants the bear punch.
Yeah, what about you, John? I mean, did you see him, and did it ever come up, or was it like off limits to conversation?
I remember what he said. I think he was just sick of working and paying, and I think nothing happened quick enough for him.
Yeah.
I remember him telling me that.
Yeah, because all the money was going into
Like
the
he was
group
working
all the time.
and he was putting
all his money
all-
into it.
and
Right.
Back then, you make $50. It ain't much, but you put it in there, and it
Right.
wasn't like you don't buy something and get it right away. So he, you know what I mean? It
He
was
didn't
I'm not
understand
seeing
the
return.
investment.
Yeah,
you know,
Right.
yeah.
Like it wasn't overnight. It was.
Yeah, but
like,
isn't that investment hard to see at that point?
Yeah.
I mean, in John's defense, right? I mean, I'm just saying.
Well, no doubt. You know what I'm saying?
At that
That's
point,
but
so
you need
it's
the super
understandable.
heart
Right,
to stick
exactly.
with it. You know what
I
I'm
never
saying?
had
His
a
heart
problem
wouldn't-
with it. I knew the shit was a
Right.
long walk.
For sure.
You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Right.
It never even crossed my mind. Like,
And I never had a problem because I wasn't making no money anyway.
shit, we were thrilled to death when we started making $50 a week.
Right.
yeah.
When Alex started paying us $50 a week, I felt like we had succeeded.
Fuck yeah! I bought a pair of shoes. Like bought a pair of shoes.
Bought
I didn't
a pair
steal
of
them.
shoes.
I mean,
Actually
we
bought
would get
bought them.
we
Sounds
would
like
get
waste of money.
$50. You see what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden we got another $50 the next week.
You're like, what?
They kept coming.
And our fucking $290 a month rent at our super view front apartment in Cass Corridor was
That's
being
right.
paid for. You know what I'm saying?
Right. We moved down to Cass Corridor, which is like a ghetto.
It's,
you know
it's
what I'm
all
saying?
built up now. Back then,
Now it's all trendy.
we used to
and
sit in our
shit.
apartment. We have a contest who could find the biggest roach. You know what I'm saying? And I remember one time there was this dead roach on top of the fridge. You know, the fridge was all short, and like we were like, holy shit! It was like the size of like the half a palm of your hand. And I started pulling on his leg, and his muscles were flexed.
No, true story.
They were so big you could
Right.
they wouldn't even run. You could just,
True story.
and you
'cause-
didn't want to stop on them because you'd fuck your shoe up.
Right.
True story,
Really?
because I lived right across the
Yeah.
hall from you guys, and whenever we played chess or checkers, if a roach touched one of your pieces, you had to remove
Right,
it.
exactly. Yeah.
That's a true story.
No doubt, yes, 100%. Yeah, I mean it was infested. You know what I'm saying?
That was a house rule.
But you know,
And then in that whole I remember because I was living with Rob briefly down there, and there was Man Lady in the building.
Oh, yeah,
and
Man
fucking-
Lady.
we could go on and on.
Man.
Tom the
Yeah.
landlord with his little
landlord.
gay
Right.
biker hat.
Right, yeah.
Like his whatever YMCA guy's biker hat, Village People
But
hat.
from that point on, me and Joey,
We are in it,
we
and in it
just
to
kind
win
of
it, you know?
spiraled off into ICP land.
Right, and
You know
then
what I'm saying?
like I was saying, like we started doing what you call it, Beverly Kills, and we put that's the only track he's on there, I believe, is on
In
In
the
the
How.
How. You know what I'm saying?
That's what Greasy rapped on. He
Right, and
rapped-
it was written for it. It took him forever to lay it down. Kind of like, I don't know if you saw the NWA movie, but like how Eazy-E was, you know, laying down Boys in the Hood, you know what I'm saying? That's how it was working with Greasy in the studio, you know what I'm saying?
So
And
he
then-
actually is on a song.
Right.
and
right.
and when we did our first show at St. Andrews Hall, he was actually on the show with us, you know what I'm saying? And that's the only show that he ever did with us was that show.
Right.
You know what I'm
All
saying?
right, check it out. So basically, in the end, neither one of them had heart. You know what I'm saying? Because that's really what it comes down to.
Well, it wasn't neither one of their
If they
dreams.
didn't believe in it and they didn't have
That's
the
right.
heart.
It wasn't the dream. You're right, Joe.
Okay.
Right there, man.
So
you
what
hit it.
what did what happened with John Kickjazz like later on?
It was just still like, you know, because by that time I wasn't living at my mom's crib, you know, no more, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, but of course I go there for holidays and just whatever, just to go visit and stuff. And I can't remember if he wasn't living there. You guys all had an apartment or some shit like that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I remember going over there one
but
time to
didn't you
check
get
it out.
sick too, though?
I didn't
remember?
know that. Where did you guys live?
We lived all of us lived
It's
in
like-
a house.
it's like on 8 Mile and
like
DeQuinter or
8 and a
something like
half
that.
in Woodward.
Who was
No,
who,
I'm
who,
talking about before that, like that 8 Mile and DeQuinter or some shit
Oh,
like
they
that.
had
That
apartment,
apartment,
yeah.
something like that.
who lived in the apartment?
Him and it was him, Crystal, and Jay Mills.
Not that one Crystal from Tawas.
The second Crystal.
This blonde haired one that was
Yeah.
like nuts, I guess. But
Okay. They
but-
got apartment
But
right
so
in.
anyhow, I'd still see him from time to time, and we still didn't kick it. You know what I'm saying? When like family functions, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we'd say what up, but we wouldn't talk. You know what I'm saying? It was always very, like, thick in the air, uncomfortable. You know what I'm
Awkward,
saying?
yeah.
Very
Yeah,
thick in
brief.
the air, uncomfortable. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And you know, so I mean, it went on for that for a long time. You know, then we started recording Ringmaster. You know what I'm saying? And you know, of course, you know, everybody knows how that went down. You know what I'm saying? But it was always the same situation with John. You know what I'm saying? Just see him, you know, what up, and just uncomfortable.
Just to make
you
a
know?
long story short about the ICP thing, you know, once Greasy was gone, we were
That was
kind of
it.
like Wild Style. We booked a show at the Magic Bag, you know.
Before that, right before that, though, we kind of were like lost in the sauce because we were transforming from Inner City Posse to Insane Clown
Insane
Posse,
Clown Posse, yes.
and we were trying to figure out what we could call ourselves because we didn't want to be Inner City Posse no more because by that time we were full on clown paint with everything. You know what I'm saying? So we went through like Inner City Psychos.
We never really,
but it never stuck.
All.
You know what I'm saying? It never stuck. But you know, we were trying to like find names. You know what I'm saying? Of course, like Dark Carnival, all that. You know, Insane Clown Posse was then the official, the official shit.
And I remember we just had that show at the Magic Bag, and it was just coming quicker and quicker. And we didn't know what to do. We were just promoting it. But this is back when we were doing like choreography on stage.
Yeah, all silliness, like
rehearsing and doing like
videotaping ourselves.
We had shit we were doing and trying to rehearse and shit. But when that Magic Bag show came, we didn't really have nothing planned, and Greasy was out of the group. And I remember talking to Joey about it, and we were like, let's just do it, man.
Go out there and rock it.
Let's just go out there and rock it. Fuck it. You know what I'm saying? And we had a big ass tub of Faygo because of course we rapped about Faygo.
Right.
So we were like, let's have a tub of Faygo up on stage.
Right,
you know
just
what I'm saying?
To sip on and drink. Instead of water, we'll have Faygo up there.
And so, we went out there, and that's, of course, the first show was ever me and Joey, just me and Joey. And we were rocking it. And the Magic Bag sold out.
Fucking packed.
Yo, we
could not believe.
In my opinion, that was the true birth right there.
Absolutely.
Like if you ever had a time machine to go back to one moment in your life, to me that would be the moment.
That defined,
to see that very
our live show.
Really, that very first
show. That show defined.
You know what I'm saying?
What
was.
Our shows are now.
Everything just came together. It all clicked, right? You know what I'm saying?
Now Isham was there hanging out, and he wanted us to play his album, which was out at the time called Kill the Fetus.
Yes.
He wanted us to play it in its entirety before we went on.
Right. A fucking
over the house.
And his shit was like an hour and a half long.
Right.
40
tracks. It was 70 minutes. And Isham was like really tripping out because it was sold out, and we had never seen him act like that.
Right. He never sold out a show. Kid Rock never sold out a show.
No, neither one of them ever did.
He was our friend, but I just remember like Isham like pacing back in stage and like just this look on
like
his
he was
face,
pissed.
like
we
he was
sold
like
the shit out.
He was like tripping,
like
you know what I'm
jealous,
saying?
pissed.
And the crowd was like ICP.
Right, that's the first time they started chanting ICP. Everything.
And Isham was just like, and Alex was like, you guys got to go on. The opening bands had played, you know what I mean? And Alex was like, you guys got to go on. But the CD was only like halfway over.
He still had
we had to go on.
50 minutes to go.
We had to be off stage.
So Alex cut the CD off, you know what I'm saying? And Isham, who was already like flaking out, he just grabbed his, because he was supposed to come out at the end of the show and do a song with us. It was Chop Chop off Beverly Kills. And I remember he didn't even know his verse. And he was nervous about it. And he was like, you're going to cover me, right? He was, because I don't really know my shit.
Yeah, we got you.
And we were like, yeah, we got you. He kept saying, make sure you cover me, And we were like, we got you, And he was pacing. And when Alex cut the CD off, Isham had his mic in his hand, and he turned it on. And he went out on the stage, and he was like, yo, ICP's my boys, but yo, they got a fucked up manager, so check this out. Somebody, and everybody popped when Isham came out. They cheered like crazy.
Right, because Isham was still the fucking man.
Right.
And he was like, somebody say fuck Mr. Alex, yo. And everybody did it.
Loud as fuck.
They didn't know who Alex was.
Right.
And the whole crowd sang it, And then him and T, his boy from Nodis, they busted out the side door and they were out.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And we were like,
we were just stunned. We didn't know that
we didn't know what the fuck to do. We were
like, they just ruined our fucking show.
We were stunned. And so we just went out on stage, and the show tape had Isham on the last song.
Right.
And we were just like, cut the fucking song after Rebel Flag. I remember yelling, cut the show after Rebel Flag. Because that was the song before the last song.
Before the end.
And I remember right then my sister was like, Joe, hey, and I was like, I can't fucking talk right now, you know. I was like panicking, you know what I'm saying? I yelled at her, you know.
I remember showing up to that show.
And I was like, tell them to cut the songs to show after Rebel Flag, you know. We were all panicking, and the intro was going.
Yeah, I didn't see you, but Joe, I remember showing up to that. I seen all that shit.
And I was panicking.
That shit was crazy.
And we just started rapping, you know what I'm saying? And right at the beginning, we're out there, we just started rapping, you know what I'm saying? And half the crowd was still tripping about Isham. And I remember there was a kid flipping us off. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because, you know, he was flipping us off. And I just opened a 2-liter. Shaggy opened a 2-liter. And he just whipped it at the kid flipping us off. And the fucking place just popped when he threw that 2-liter. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Everybody just cheered. You know what I'm saying?
So we looked at each other. We were like,
we just started opening. It was just pure madness.
That was way before we had the science of it down. So we were, you know,
We started throwing Fagos. You know what I'm saying? We just started opening it up and fucking, you know, it was just madness.
Right.
You know, we were opening 2-liters and throwing them in the crowd, you know. Dog, we didn't know what the fuck was going on.
And then, like, the manager there, the lady, she, like, was like, what? She ran up on stage, grabbed
The
her
lady
after
ran up
Fago.
on stage and started pulling the Fago off stage. And Alex ran up and started fighting her with it. They were wrestling over the Fago as we were pulling 2-liters out and throwing them in the crowd.
Crazy, man.
Oh my God, I feel like passing out right now. It was so maddening, you know. And fucking, we didn't know if the crowd was turning on us or what. We just kept throwing Fagos out, man.
So now the group is really fucking hot right now. At that
But anyway,
point,
yeah, the show, you know, we just finished the show, and it was like, you know, legendary.
Right.
And that straight up solidified us in
Magical.
Detroit. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? That solidified us in Detroit.
Everybody talked about that show.
As, you know,
one
of the
the-
top three.
The legend was out there
From
then.
there on, when we booked our next show at St. Andrews Hall,
sold out.
We were like, you know, make sure they know we're throwing Fago.
We had built this big ass fucking wooden box and sewed together this big backdrop. You
And
know
we
what I'm saying?
visqueened everything in the venue. We visqueened everything, and we were like, we're throwing Fago all night.
And
Fuck it.
when we sold it out, we were just like,
We sold it out
seventh
over
heaven,
1,000
boy. We were
people.
just like, what? You know what I'm saying?
And from then on,
we
it
sold
was
out every show.
Now, at that point, were you talking to John? And did he now?
At that
now,
point,
now,
no.
that
Hold
this-
on.
Now that the success was happening,
This just to make it so everybody listening knows, from that point on, it was like a rocket. Every show in Detroit sold out.
We started doing the Ritz, 2,500 selling it out.
2,500 people at the Ritz on Gratiot.
Selling
we
it out.
sold
Everywhere
it
we
out.
played in Detroit, we'd sell it out.
Right.
You know
Kid
what I'm
Rock and Esham had never sold
Neither
shit
one of
out
them. Neither
like
one of
that.
them.
Right.
We sold Friday night and Saturday night out. 2 back-to-back shows at the Ritz.
Which was
sold them
unheard of
both
for
out.
a local band, especially back then.
Nobody had ever done that shit. Then we booked the State Theater. Sold it out.
Yeah, it was crazy, man.
but that's what I'm saying. At that point in time, now that ICP is booming, did you ever have that conversation with John about
We
man,
never,
damn,
we never,
fucked it, man,
we
I fucked
never
up.
had that conversation.
I asked him every day. Did
Really?
you see
Every day.
John? Did you see
Like,
John?
no.
You know,
I didn't. You know, and if I did, he'd be like, "What'd he say?" I'd be like, "Nothing." You know,
I'd be like, I used to argue with him. How can you say nothing?
like-
You were just there. You know, I'd call him at night at Christmas. You know what I mean? I'd be like, dog, what happened when you and John? Nothing.
Because straight up,
Come on, man.
I mean, nothing had
Come
happened.
on, man. Tell me what the fuck
He
happened.
would never.
Right.
He never. To
I used to
this
feel
day,
like I used to feel like he was hoeing me, like he wasn't telling
Right,
me
right,
what was really
right.
going
to
on.
this day, he had never told me. Like, we never spoke on it. Never spoke on it. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, I can't remember
Now wait a
when
minute.
it was.
So what happened when you living with John? You lived with John after you lived in the apartment?
Yeah.
Where did you guys live?
But then you lived in a house
That's where
with
we
him.
lived in Uncle Pat's house.
Who
Yeah.
lived there?
Me, John, Fat Ronnie, and John Rode.
Oh,
And that's when
shit.
John started DJing with Raj.
Yeah.
Okay.
And by that time,
And I was working. I started being a carpenter.
around
So
what
I had to
around
wake
like what
up-
year was that?
Probably 93. 92, 93.
No, it was after that. I know that because that had to have been at least the mid 90s.
Oh yeah, you know what?
Spring break
maybe
was
like
94,
96.
Yeah, maybe.
That's when we Riddlebox was out
Yeah.
and we were down in Cass Corridor.
Right, and in maybe like a year after that even, because then
maybe
I started
95.
talking to him a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? Nothing about ICP. You know what I'm saying? He never wanted to even
Oh
bring
yeah,
that
it
up.
was because my wife got pregnant with my son, and
Yeah.
that's when I ended up moving out from there.
Right.
So wait a
But
minute
so
though.
he was
when you
born
were
in
living-
'98, so it was probably 96, 97.
When you were living, that's when we were really on fire. Did John ever talk about it? Ever?
Right.
Come on, John.
Come on, John.
Come
Hey,
on.
me and Joey made a pact to.
Like I said though, for real, on the real, 100%, man. Like it was just, it didn't come up. He didn't want to talk about it. You know what I'm saying?
All right, it did, so you lived with John.
I don't think maybe if you said something like, yeah, they're getting it, or that you hear that song, or maybe you talk about it, but nothing like.
He hung
maybe
up on
like,
he actually
juicy
hung up
gossip,
on me one time for bringing it up.
Really?
What?
Yeah.
Tell us that story.
Yeah, we were just talking, and obviously at this time I'm on the east side. My wife Lori and I were all, had our little family thing going on, and I was I'm pretty sure the first one to have a kid. So,
well, in your guys' crew.
Right, I was about to say, motherfucker, shit. Shit. I think
Except
I
for your
got, I
old
think I
ass
got
down
that
there.
belt.
So I would just, I kind of reconnected with. I was still talking to him at the time, and and you and I have spoken about this. I didn't really want to, at this point, you guys are blowing up, right? So I was just kind of letting you do your thing. I felt out of place, trying to put myself back in that scene. So I would kind of keep up with it with John. One time I brought it up, like, so, kind of like...
what's up with your brother?
Yeah,
or
I'm like,
something?
no, I said, what's up with you and your brother? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, their shit's taking off now. Are you guys ever going to reconnect or anything? And he was just like, well, it's not something I really want to talk about. He kind of at first was real evasive about it. I brought it up a second time, boom, hung up on me. I ain't talked
You
to
would have got the bear punch. If
You haven't
said
talked.
that.
Wait a minute. You haven't talked to him since?
No, I had, but we didn't talk for a long time after that because the next time I talked to him was...
That was off limits.
Things
Right.
things had changed
You
at
got your
the
warning.
time the next time I talked to him. So.
Right,
Bear
because the
punch
next
was
thing
coming.
was going to be that punch,
bear
man.
punch,
That was
yeah.
going to be it.
I'd rather be hung up on than bear punched.
So do you remember what you asked him when he hung up?
No, well, I called him back. Well, remember, also, this is,
He had
mid
to go
to
to the
late
payphone.
90s, so it was like, landlines, right? I mean, everybody didn't have their fresh phones yet. So after that, I just called, and he would send me to his answering machine, like a literal answering machine. And he didn't talk to me. He just flat out would not, he didn't acknowledge me. I would say he didn't acknowledge me probably for 2, maybe even 3 years after that.
Wow.
Wow. So what happened with you, John? Did he ever bring it up? Did you guys ever see something on TV? Did you have the box?
I think at that house, I was busy working, and them guys were just partying, playing music and stuff. So I had to wake up super early. So I was just
John
trying
had responsibilities.
I
he was like,
I was
man,
trying to
fuck
grind
y'all,
it
get out of
make
my
some
house.
money.
Shit.
I was
like
trying to
this
pay
motherfucker
rent.
I
They
know.
were, well, maybe not him, but Fat Ronnie and them guys,
They were partying.
He was
getting up at 4 in the morning.
They were smoking
But
first, pay the rent later.
Right, but by around 97, something like that, I was starting to kick it more with him, you know what I'm saying? Just on brother shit, nothing ICP, because, you know what I'm saying? It just just was a subject that, you just didn't talk about
It was
with him, you know what I'm saying?
It was obviously a sore spot all the way around. One,
Well, obviously
because
he was hanging
If you
up
hung
and-
up on Noel,
right.
it was a fucking
Right,
talk to him for a
because
couple
he
years.
left, number one,
Right.
and number two. I mean, obviously he had to have regretted it. I mean, it went on to be such a big thing.
Right. I always kind of contemplated whether he did or not. You know what I'm saying? Fully, I'm sure he did somewhat.
He had to.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying? Because he was still into music and shit, and he wasn't just DJing. He would he was doing tracks with Jay Lofton and shit. You know what I'm saying? Still trying to do shit with
He
his
was
voice.
doing tracks. What do you mean?
He was making beats.
Yeah, he
you know
was
what I'm saying? On
making
an
beats,
MPC
yeah.
and
They were
make
DJing
and
all the
record
time,
one of his
He
boys.
was DJing all the time.
up in his room because he was upstairs. I was in the
Yeah,
basement.
and that's when
and he
I
was
went
up-
over there a
up
couple times.
upstairs,
Yeah,
and then they just
I went
DJ'd
over there a
off,
couple
yeah.
times. You know what I'm saying? Just to hang with him.
Some
You know what I'm
random
saying?
DJ.
And we just take turns cutting and mixing and shit. You know what I'm saying? But that it was just a taboo subject to talk about ICP. You know
Okay,
what I'm
so I
saying?
didn't know this.
And Joey was getting paid a couple thousand. We just had the whole.
Right.
No, seriously now.
Joey was making tracks for everybody.
I didn't know that John ever made tracks.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm not.
Well,
we were on
beats,
the air.
not really.
Yeah, not like full on
Yeah.
tracks. He just like hooked some shit up or whatever on an MPC.
Okay, so he was DJing all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because I
he-
think
like-
they were DJing
then-
somewhere downtown.
Yeah,
like
well, it was
little
somewhere. It was
gigs
somewhere on the east side that I know. I went one time out there to check it out.
Like
And it
some bar
was
or
like it was
something.
like
Yeah,
5 people in the crowd or whatever. I stayed for a little bit and left. You know what I'm saying? And then
I remember that.
yeah,
I remember you telling me that.
yeah. And then
I
but
think
I
it
would
was
see
a
him
week-paying
periodically.
gig.
We, you know what I'm
So
saying?
what was going on in the house? You were working. What about when you weren't working? What was going on? They were partying.
I think everyone was doing everything,
Like, what do you mean?
Because then Shay moved in there because I think Road moved out.
John Rode moved out?
I think so.
That's Kid Villain.
Yeah, because Shay got his room.
Did John Rode ever say
There was
anything?
a lot of scandalous shit going on in that house, man.
Wait. Before you get to that, did John Rode ever say anything?
No.
It never came up. What about bitches you guys were talking to and shit? They had to be like, is Shaggy your brother?
Yeah, I don't know, man. There's a lot going on at that house. Everyone was just hustling and scamming each other. You know what I mean? Just like people were breaking into people's rooms and coming through the window, and you know what I'm saying? No one was working.
All right.
I didn't know. I had
People
no
came in
idea.
and robbed the place. It was just fucked up, like a lot of dirt, like
Really?
just shady. Too many people were doing shit,
People were.
I'm
the
saying
crew,
like
the crew was falling apart.
But I'm saying
The crew was fucking the crew, is what it sounded
yeah,
like.
because then someone else's boy or their Fat Ronnie's boys, other dudes are playing dice. I'm trying to sleep and go to work, and next thing you know, someone's shit's missing, and because 10 different dudes came over, you know what I mean? So I was just trying to stay away from all the drama.
Did you ever go over there? No.
Hell no. Hell no.
So it just was.
It was a free for all, man. Like just no one gave a shit, man.
Was in
flicking boogers on the wall, John Rode, just.
It was everybody was drinking, smoking weed.
Everything, yeah.
What do you mean everything?
I'm just saying like they're DJing, partying, like shooting dice all loud.
Was anybody doing any coke?
I don't know about that. I didn't really fuck with nothing, so.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I don't know who did what.
You never saw nothing like that?
Nah, I didn't see that shit.
Okay. So
I know they were smoking all the time and drinking.
When did you get out of the house?
Like I said, my wife got pregnant, so we ended up getting a place. But probably like 97 into 97, 98.
Okay,
I think everyone got out.
That's
I don't think that was about it because no one was paying. Everyone it was
so like right when you got out of there, everybody got out of there.
I think so. I don't think
because
I know
after John had moved out of there, he moved into a house in Hamtramck, which was right across the street from where I still live in Hamtramck, where my first sons were born. You know what I'm saying?
Because that's when Andrea came around.
Yeah, that was, and she was good chick and all that.
The Berkeley chicks.
Yeah, and she you know what I'm saying? They were a good couple, and I thought he was like super in line with her.
Wait a minute, where was John living now?
At that point, in Hamtramck.
While you were living in
No. He lived across the street from where I had lived before.
Now you were living...
Not in Sobieski where I stayed with Billy, but when I had lived,
Where were you living now?
By that time...
We were in the penthouse?
No, this was when I lived in Southfield.
Oh, okay. Oh, you got your house.
Yeah. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I went over there
That's
once.
when me and you, I moved out to Green Oaks, Rob.
Okay.
See, we had all lived in Cass Corridor. And then we went from Cass Corridor.
I think at this point you were living in Farmington Hills. Yeah, because when I lived there, moved to Southfield, you were living in Farmington Hills.
Well, we went from Cass Corridor to these plushed out penthouses.
Right, it was ridiculous.
Straight up, we all lived.
It was like,
Alex
if I remember correctly, it was so ridiculous. I think the rent was like $4,000 a month or something. That's what I remember.
We lived right on the Detroit River. We had
River Place, right there,
ridiculous
like between
parties.
Belle Isle and downtown.
Yeah, we'd have parties.
We played downtown and bring everybody back.
No more cockroaches.
We'd have parties with like 200,
no more cockroaches.
200 girls. We'd have parties with like 200 girls and like 20 guys. You know?
Yeah,
and you'd be
that's
like
a lot
talking.
of selling out.
Yeah, you'd be
super sellouts.
It was. It wasn't uncommon to run into fucking Tommy Hearns or Michael Moore when you're going to the fucking car to get your car and shit. You're like, oh, it's fucking Michael Moore, world champion.
You pull
man.
your car in.
Michael Moore was never a world champion, by the way.
He was world champion.
You pull your car in and you take the elevator up, and the penthouses were on top of the parking structure. And we lived like with pistons and shit.
Yeah.
And me and Rob lived in one place, and Alex had his place around across the courtyard. We were ridiculous.
It was a waste of money. Looking back on it,
Then we realized we were wasting money, so we all bought houses.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I bought a house in Green Oaks, Michigan, and first me and Rob lived out in Novi.
Yeah,
in an apartment.
A small apartment.
Yeah, and I moved
2-bedroom.
Actually, Hamtramck, where my kids were born. Then I moved to Royal Oak, and then I moved to Southfield after that.
Yeah, we all got houses at the same time. When Malenko came out in '97, that's when we bought houses.
Yeah. So anyhow, when he was living in Hamtramck, I went over there. I went over there one time. I went over there just to check it out and shit. I think I went with my mom. And, he was living with his broad and all that shit. And he seemed to be
She was a good girl?
Yeah, big time. Yeah, she seemed to be real straight-laced, everything. Didn't barely drink. I don't think she smoked weed. Andrea was, she was like real, raised, proper family.
Was Andrea ever around in your guys' house?
Yeah, that's how we met her. They were all girls from Berkeley.
Okay.
They were all.
But anyhow, little did I know, him and his partner, Raj, I guess, were starting to snort heroin.
Wait a minute, back up. Now, I remember I met a group of girls, and she was like, I know Shaggy's brother and his friends, And I was like, you do? And she was like, yeah, John, I know John. And I was like, oh, shit, and she's like, I know John and his friend John and everything. And I was like, what do they say about me? And she was like, I'm not gonna tell you what they say. And I was like, tell me what they say about me. She's like, they called you. I'm not gonna say it, And I was like, tell me what it was. And she didn't want to say it because they called me fat. Straight up, I finally got it out of her. They said I was getting fat. I was putting on weight. You know what I mean?
Because we were making money,
right? Yeah, and they were
we
like,
could afford to eat.
But she said they called me a fat ass. You know what I mean? So that let me know that they were dissing. You see what I'm saying?
Out of salt.
Like they were talking shit. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, don't say nothing about them. Like we ain't got no bad things to say.
Right.
That let me know they were talking shit though. You know what I'm saying? About me at least.
Trying to put themselves over by talking shit about you.
About me, right. So I knew that that John Rode and John Usler were dissing me. You see what I'm saying? I don't think they were dissing Joey, but I knew they were salty. At least me. You know what I'm saying? And they didn't really have nothing to be salty about me about. You know what I'm saying? But I remember that was an interesting moment to me because I was like, wow, they're dissing me. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so look, then from what I remember, because obviously I didn't hang out with John after that, but I know he got like heavy into drugs at some point.
Well,
so go ahead, Joey.
So I didn't know it at the time, but I guess that's when he started like snorting heroin. You know what I'm saying?
He never went to cocaine or nothing.
According to him, no. I'm sure he probably like tried it and
dabbled
in
it
and
and something.
He just started snorting fucking heroin.
I think it was a point that like he probably would have done any drug. You know what I'm saying? But like that was his shit.
This is when he lived in Hamtramck with a good girl.
Okay, now check it out. I didn't know at the time. They ended up breaking up over it. You know what I'm saying? She left him.
Over that.
Yeah, which I found out later. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, now wait a minute. So, did you know about this?
Oh, what I was going to add is don't forget he got his hip replaced, so...
Yeah, both replaced.
I know, but I'm saying, but at that time, did that start? Because I remember thinking...
Well, I think what it,
was that a gateway from
the natural progression? Like, painkillers, couldn't afford them. Oxycontins, couldn't afford them.
Yeah, I don't know.
Switched up to heroin. Who knows?
Right.
But also, I believe at that point, John Rowe was also doing heroin. You know what I'm saying?
I thought that's how John started doing it, was through John Rowe, because I remember hearing it about John Rowe
Misconception, from what I heard from my brother, my other brother, is that's what everybody thinks, but he was introduced to heroin from that Raj kid, because I remember asking John, I was like, because I was like, what happened to Raj? You know what I'm saying? You guys.
I never even knew this person.
Right. Well, I wasn't like that with him. You know what I'm saying? But like that was his ace. You know what I'm saying? That was his main homie.
He dated his sister too. John did.
Yeah, which I can't remember.
He
her
married
name.
what?
No. Yeah. John used to date Raj's sister.
Yeah, for a hot minute. You know what I'm saying?
She was hot and she was older.
Yeah,
so
I don't know all that.
Some bitches.
Right. So anyhow, so like from what I heard, Cause I remember like asking like what happened to Raj? That's your ace, you know. And he was like, oh man, he's like all tied up in heroin and shit, man. You know, he ain't around no more. You know what I'm saying? And from what my other brother says is like that Raj dude kind of introduced him to it. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he was a full blown heroin head at that time, but he got introduced to it. You know what I'm saying? And in turn, from what he also said is that John turned John Road onto heroin.
Wow.
Even though John Road took it the further step and started, you know,
shooting it.
Right. Which my brother, his like big, from what my uncle tells me, what he told him was his big thing was like he's never shot it up, you know, only ooted it up. You know what I'm saying?
So what year was this?
You know what I'm saying? I don't know, because I was drinking a lot back then, so it's kind of
it's
hazy
probably
what year.
98, 99 then?
Shit. This was
when they were doing music.
When did he have his hip surgery?
Yeah, I don't know what year.
22 was
hip surgery, man.
22.
I don't know.
Solid point.
But he was 22. I always thought he was more towards his 30s. You know what I'm saying?
No, it was young, because I remember I was like, damn, that's fucked up. Like you're that young.
Okay, well maybe I'm like
you think.
Oh yeah, when he got his hip surgery.
Yeah,
he got his first one when he was younger. Then his other one down the line sometime. But I don't know what year it was, but it was like it had to been like at least around like 2000. You know what I'm saying? Somewhere in there. You know.
So at
and
first
then
he got a hip replaced.
Back in the day, back in the day. Then like his other one went out and he got that one replaced. You know what I'm saying? So Mr. Waddles, you know what I'm saying? Walking around like a penguin.
He was waddling now.
Well, he would kind of walk like a penguin. You know what I'm saying? Because he had two fake hips. You know what I'm saying?
So did he start doing painkillers then or something?
That I don't know.
You would think, you know,
Kevin. Well, I'm sure. Yeah, he got prescribed all that shit and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? But when I found out he was doing heroin is because after him and that girl broke up, he moved back in with my mom. You know what I'm saying? So I go over there and he'd just be a hermit, like in a room. You know what I'm saying?
He was fucked up over breaking up with her, right? You told me that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I think maybe that like
he didn't want to break up with her.
Right, exactly. And I think that like that pushed him over to do more heroin. Who knows what people's reasons for doing shit? You know what I'm saying? But my mom would always say that she would find cut up straws over the house, and she thought like it was just from the chew on to quit smoking. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, no, you know what I'm saying? Because I guess they were everywhere. You know what I'm saying? And that's when John Road and him were like really fucking
hanging
thick as thieves. You know what I'm saying? Chilling in this back room, which was his bedroom. You know what I'm saying? And that's when I like started pulling away like a motherfucker, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I used to always talk to my mom like, what the fuck is going on, Mom? You know what I'm saying? Because like my mom would always hit me up like all the time, like to help her pay bills and shit. I'm just like, yo, you know, you always hit me up for money, and you got him living back here who you're supporting.
I remember this.
Who was
I remember
who
this
was fucking doing heroin and shit. And on top of it,
I used to tell you.
On top of it, he was like drinking super duper heavy on top of it.
Okay. This is where I was at this point. We were making a lot of money. I was mad at John, right? Still salty as fuck for him leaving. You know.
Right.
I didn't want Joey hooking John up with anything that we made.
Right, and I wasn't with him either.
And John was living with Joey's mom and his mom. I used to get salty thinking, here Joey is hooking his mom up.
Right.
And John's spending it.
Right, he's reaping the benefits.
Right. He's reaping the benefits of our band.
Right, my mom would like take care of him.
Passing it down.
Right, exactly. You know, I'm sure she wasn't buying him heroin, but you know, she's feeding him.
And that used to piss me off. You know what I'm saying?
And then it pissed me off. And actually, me and my mom fell out for a few years because of that. You know what I'm saying? Like we didn't talk for a couple years over that. But so I remember like it came to a point where like I'd go over there. And like, you know, I'd just go visit my mom or whatever, and it straight up looked like a fucking homeless shelter over there. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what the fuck? Just looking around like, you know, these ninjas with swords and wearing straight dirty rags and shit. And that's when I was like, I can't fuck with it. I can't even go over there no more. You know what I'm saying? So I ended up staging an intervention.
They were just ninjas? You didn't know who they were?
No, just straight junkies. You know what I'm saying? Junkies out the fucking street. Who knows?
Just people at your mom's?
Just marinating. And that's when I went out to handle with my mom. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? So I actually like called my aunt and called my uncle, you know, and we all came over there on surprise for like an intervention, you know, not just for John, but for my mom and stepdad. You know what I'm saying?
They weren't doing no
Damn,
shit.
you figured Roger would have put him out.
No. But my mom, you know, that was her baby, you know what I'm saying? Her oldest, her firstborn, you know what I'm saying? She didn't want to give up on him, you know? I'm just like, you got to give up on them to help them. You know what I'm saying? Because you're doing nothing.
You're
but
enabling them
like a motherfucker.
Exactly,
you know.
Yeah.
So you know, I have my aunts and uncles over there and shit. You know what I'm saying? And we're sitting there, and of course, you know, they just felt like they were being attacked. They weren't having it. You know what I'm saying?
Who's they?
My parents. You know what I'm saying? Just just straight up like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? This is bullshit.
Roger wasn't having it.
No,
they don't want to hear the truth.
And I was by this time, I don't think he was doing so much heroin no more, but he was heavy drinking. You know what I'm saying? And my parents always had like weed and beer in their house, and like Bacardi and shit. You know what I'm saying? And
the Arby's.
Did they? Of course. But so I'm just like, all right. Like before I left, I was like, can we at least do this? Can you guys? This is when I was on the wagon back then. You know what I'm saying? Like I got out of my first rehab or whatever. And I was just like, can we at least do this? Can you not drink in this house for a month? Can you do that? My stepdad, he was like, I'm a grown man. I'll drink when I want to. All this shit, And then, whatever. So we all left on a salty note. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then,
okay, hold on. Let's take a break right there.
All right.
Take a break. Play something and pause right there. Everybody.
PP time.
Everybody take that in. All right. The story continues in a minute.
Juggalo Show. We'll be right back.
Real serious.
It's getting serious.
The time has come for the blood to run in the streets paved with gold. We have lived in the zoo of the ghetto for so long, and like animals we'll kill each other with a hatred for others.
All right, bladders are emptied.
Yeah. Welcome back to the Juggalo Show.
Yes, sir. So we're just going to jump right back into it.
Shout out to Kevin Gill hanging patiently.
Right.
Just wishing something would come up about wrestling.
He's like, why the fuck am I even on this episode?
No, hey.
What are you thinking right now, Kevin Gill?
Wait, let me tell you right now.
You're mad buzz.
Sorry.
Okay, let's get Nate on the phone real quick.
Mad buzz, yo.
Before we continue, let's give Nate one more shot.
And don't forget, we got Scotty D as well.
Here.
Why is he sitting?
Nate, you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you, brother. It's good to hear you. How you doing?
I'm doing good. What's going on, brother?
Photos?
Huh?
Doing good. What's going on?
Nothing. Are you listening?
Just barely.
Oh shit! You're not listening to the show?
I am, but I can barely hear it for some reason.
Oh, your internet's not working or something?
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with the phone.
Hey, Anthony, can you grab the pictures? Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, let's put the pictures up. Oh, damn, look at Nate.
Looking all handsome.
That's him as
We got pictures of you up on the screen right now, Nate.
Hey, Nate, do you have anything to add to this? Anything you heard?
Just from what you told me and everything that happened, it just, I'm hurting from,
Yo.
Yeah. Well, yeah. This,
Yeah, we're kind of like pressed for time a little bit.
Yeah.
What else? What other pictures you got? What other pictures we got of Nate?
I'm bringing it
That's
up right
not
now.
Nate.
That's us.
You gotta pull it up.
That's a very groupie picture of Nate.
Yeah, that's Nate that we remember.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
That guy.
He came to the gathering, what was it, 3 years ago? 2 years? No,
2 years
ago.
It was the year before we left Nelson Ledges, I think.
No,
Or was it
it
the
was
year-
just recently.
It was maybe the one before, or my neck was fucked up at that one. So
Your neck's fucked up at all?
no, my neck is 100% now, guy.
Oh, okay, your
I've got a
back and
couple-
neck, my back and my neck.
I ain't heard that one before.
All right, go ahead, continue with you.
All right.
So anyhow,
Hold up. So we don't have Nate? I'm just.
No, we
No.
don't.
Oh, okay. Can you,
It
can
ain't
you just
working.
scroll
TDs,
through a couple
technical
more
difficulties.
photos? I just want
whose
to.
hand is that on his shoulder? That's what I'm wondering.
Mine was on his butt.
I guess the photo gallery is a little
There
slow.
was one photo that just was classic Nate, man. How I remember him. You know what I'm saying?
Well, obviously, we're having trouble even showing fucking photos, so just leave it alone.
We just gotta pick them between, we don't want to show you guys the screen while we're
That's the one.
scrolling through.
Nate the Mac.
I like the pile of sticks behind him.
Right?
I don't know why. They just really
All right,
set his
let's
outfit
go.
off. So where'd I leave off?
You left off where
With Roger
Yeah.
So
So after that, that's when I like really like fell out with my mom. You know,
with the intervention.
You just kind of quit going over there.
Yeah, wasn't talking on the phone. I wasn't going over there. Nothing. Homeless people hanging out. They didn't want to fucking hear shit. You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden,
now your folks wasn't involved in the drugs or anything.
No, I mean there always been weed heads.
Oh yeah.
But they never went off and none of
But
that
they were
shit,
just letting people just do whatever.
Yeah, just I guess you know
what
what
was
I'm saying.
the deal with that? Why were they letting that shit go down?
That's what always bewildered me. That's why like I just stepped out of that whole situation. You know what I'm saying? Because I was like, this is bullshit. This is crazy. You know what I'm saying? I quit giving my mom money for bills and shit. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't talking to her no more. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't going over there. You know,
so when you went over there, you and your Uncle Ed and everybody went over there?
Yeah, my Aunt Jane, yeah.
They were all on your side.
Yeah.
They all knew.
But it was weird, though, because, like, slowly they didn't turn against me, but, like, they were all of a sudden getting neutral about it. You know what I'm saying? Which really made me feel like a fucking asshole. You know what I'm saying? But whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, like, when we left, like, you know, it was just, everybody in that house was salty, you know what I'm saying, that lived there, you know? So anyhow, a couple of years passed, I guess. Well, it couldn't have been a couple of years. It had to have been shorter than that because I don't believe I remember Christmas where I didn't see my mom.
And John Road and John were just hella tight at this time.
Hella tight. You know what I'm saying? Hella tight. Like, fucking hella tight. Like before, like, you know, I realized they were deep off into heroin. Like, they'd show up at my house at 6 in the morning, like, wanting to wash my windows for cash.
Are you for real?
Straight up. And I was just like, I didn't know they were doing heroin or nothing, you know what I'm saying? And I was just like, I guess, go ahead and do it.
You never told me that.
I could have sworn, man.
Joe needed his windows washed.
But you know what I'm saying? I was just like, oh,
they showed up at 6 in the morning looking to wash your windows?
Yes, that's what they did. They were washing windows for fucking cash in hand.
Oh,
you know
remember John used to do that.
Yeah, John Road had like some little shitty like Dotson or some
Hazel
shit.
Park or whatever that window washer made.
Yeah, I don't know where the fuck
he was supposed to start his own company.
I guess he did for heroin.
There,
you
yeah.
know?
So where does John? They live at your mom's house. Where does John Road live?
I have no idea. No idea whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? I never got into his business, so no clue. But so like, I don't know. It was a little bit later after that. And all of a sudden, my mom called me, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, it was an emergency, so I took it. And she was like, your brother's in the hospital. And I'm like, well, what for? I figured, you know, maybe an overdose, something. I didn't know, you know what I'm saying? And it turns out they found him in the right in front of her house in the middle of the street, just in a pool of blood. You know what I'm saying? His head busted open, you know what I'm saying? All that shit, you know? And to this day, nobody knows what happened. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if he had forgot what happened or if he just didn't want to talk about it or just refused to talk about it because maybe repercussions afterwards or what might have happened, you know what I'm saying? But something happened. My speculation is that it was a bad drug deal and they just fucking beat the living shit out of him and just rolled them out the cars they were driving, you know what I'm saying?
Somebody that knew him?
That he fucked for money for drugs or something. That, like I said, that's my speculation. Nobody knows for sure, but that's my speculation.
And John never said nothing?
Never said. I asked him a million times. He would just be like, I don't know. I ain't talking about that shit. I don't know. I don't remember. You know what I'm saying? So basically what they had to do, he was in the hospital for like the longest fucking time. Like they had to take off like a quarter of his skull on top. You know what I'm saying? Because he had swelling and like blood clots in his brain and all that shit.
I remember this.
So they had to like, you know what I'm saying, take off his fucking skull to relieve all that. And he had this like soft like brown helmet on for like the longest time. And then they had him.
How long?
Fuck, like a year. And he was living in a nursing home at that point. They had to put him in a nursing home, you know what I'm saying, because of his injuries and all that, you know what I'm saying? And that's when he started getting like seizures really bad all the time, you know, from all the brain injury and all that, you know.
This is John Kickjazz.
Yeah, so, you know, it was really bad time, you know what I'm saying, real bad times. Like he went downhill, you know. And so then finally he got the nursing home. And he went back to the hospital, and somehow fucking they had a skull on ice that whole time and put his actual skull back on instead of like a metal plate. Crazy shit, you know what I'm saying?
After his skull stopped swelling up?
Yeah, after it all went down.
I mean, his brain?
After it all went down, you know what I'm saying, all that shit, you know what I'm saying, they reconnected his skull and sewed him up, and, you know, he straight up looked like Frankenstein, you know what I'm saying, the scars and shit. I mean, you seen him at my wedding and shit, you know, just all scarred up all over his fucking head. I don't know if you guys seen it after that shit.
I did, yeah.
But yeah, it looked crazy, you know what I'm saying? And, like, even, I know when he was in that nursing home and all that shit, like, you know, he couldn't drink and do drugs because he was on a lockdown nursing home facility, you know what I'm saying? So, but, you know, anybody with, like, traumatic brain
when
injury.
did we hire him?
That was before that happened.
Okay,
Yeah, because we had hired him. Actually, I had talked to Alex, and we got him into a rehab in upstate New York. You know what I'm saying? This was before I knew he was doing heroin. That's why I just thought it was drinking real heavy. You know what I'm saying? Which it was, you know. But whatever. He got out, and the day after he started drinking again, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But then, now I'm not sure when we hired him if he was doing heroin then or just drinking. You know what I'm saying? But like, yeah, I mean, he'd be in the warehouse and like there'd be like vodka bottles. Yeah, I was like, let's give him a job. I was like, I'll get you a job. We're gonna turn you, you know, help you out, get you on your feet. I mean, I tried so many times to help him out. You know, I loved him. He's my brother.
I was down to help
you know?
him at this time. You know what I'm saying? Because I was down to help him out, and you know, I was hearing things from Joey and everything, and I was like, you know, we were doing really good, and it was like, maybe we can maybe it's time
get him back on his feet. You know?
Get him on his feet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, fuck this kid, B.
Get him a job, and if he does good, I'll get him an apartment. You know what I'm saying?
It's been a minute too.
And get him going.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So then, you know, he kept falling asleep in the back in the warehouse.
First, we had him come to the gathering.
Yeah, the gathering in Peoria, the third gathering.
The third gathering.
Now, this is way before all that shit, you know, the drugs and all that. You know what I'm saying? As far as I know, I'm sure he was doing something. Who knows? But he was heavy drinking then. But, it was a surprise seminar.
We had a surprise seminar. We just said it was a surprise. Right. Nobody knew what it was.
And it was me and him. We went out there, you know what I'm saying? I introduced him, you know what I'm saying? We were answering questions and shit. And
people were tripping out like, damn, that's John Kickjazz.
And I was super surprised he agreed to do it, you know what I'm saying?
I remember that.
Holy shit. I was like, whoa. You know, I was like,
I remember you telling Rob, man, he's never going to do it, man.
Right.
He's never fucking going to do it.
And he did it. And
right.
I was like, wow.
Right.
Rob was ready to go out there.
But basically the whole time, you know, it was questions being asked, but like he was just being quiet, you know, he's real uncomfortable, you know, especially in front of a crowd.
He was tripping.
Yeah, he was tripping, out of place.
He had people
you know.
snapping pictures and shit. He was just
so basically I was doing all the talking and shit, you know what I'm saying? That night I hung out with him in the lobby, you know what I'm saying? You know, it was a big like party in the lobby and everything, you know, we were just like, you know, chilling, drinking and whatnot, you know what I'm saying? Then he went home the next day, you know what I'm saying?
But he was like tripping, you know, everybody was snapping pictures, wanting his autograph left and right, you know, he was just
There was a lot to take in.
Overwhelmed,
what was he saying that night in the lobby? What was he saying?
He was just like, this is crazy, you guys have come like this far, you know what I'm saying?
So you guys were talking about it
a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, it was like drunken talk a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But it wasn't like full-on conversations about it. He just like had brought it up like, wow, this is crazy, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like this, you know what I'm saying? I was like, it's been like this for a while, man, you know what I'm saying? But then, you know, he changed the subject, whatnot, you know what I'm saying? So I couldn't get like a steady conversation going about, you know, what he was feeling about it the whole time. I couldn't get none of that out of him. Never could. To this day, couldn't. You know what I'm saying?
So even that day at the gathering,
couldn't crack him. You know what I'm saying? I could not crack him. You know what I'm saying?
But he was just
I actually tried. You know what I'm saying?
He was giving it up, though?
Yeah, he was giving it up. Yeah, he was giving it up. But he didn't say he regretted it. He didn't say why he dropped out. He didn't say none of that shit. You know what I'm saying? And actually, I think he agreed to do it because that's when I went over to his house a couple times and, you know, with like just hanging with him and his boy, like DJing and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that's why he did it because like we were actually like a little bit close at that time. You know
but
what I'm saying?
This is before the heroin.
Right, exactly. This is before the heroin. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to chill there for a couple days. Right. You know what I'm saying? He would have got sick and had to go home or, you know, dope sick or whatever they call it. And so anyhow, he got the group home, you know what I'm saying? And or not the group home, the nursing home, and he started living with my mom again, you know what I'm saying?
Now we're back to after he got beat up.
Right, this is back after he got beat up.
Got his skull
finally got his skull put back on. He was living back at my mom's house, and so I was talking to my mom again, all that shit, you know. And by this time, my mom was actually like getting fed up with his ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is bullshit. You know what I'm saying? I'm taking care of this full-grown fucking man. Because, then he started drinking again a lot, with this fucking brain
with
shit
this,
going on. You know what I'm saying?
Close down.
You know what I'm
injury.
saying? Just straight, like, pop-off cheap-ass vodka because he was broke. He had ran tabs up at all the fucking liquor stores around the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying?
What? You can do a such thing?
If you're in there that much, you know what I'm saying? The local neighborhood liquor store.
They'll give you credit.
You can run a tab at a liquor store?
We had credit. The flannel tucked in.
But so you know what I'm saying, finally my mom had it, you know what I'm saying? I talked to her and she was like, I can't take it no more. Send him to the Salvation Army, you know what I'm saying? So that way,
Damn.
So he had to live
Send him to the Salvation Army.
Well, they give you a job. It's not like, like the crackhead section where, you sleep overnight. It's not like the homeless shelter part of it. It's like where they actually like take you and you work during the day.
They give you like a trade. They'll teach you or try to teach you.
When you come back, you got to blow. You can't. You know what I'm saying? You can't.
So he just had nowhere to go, no friend to turn to, and he was just like going because he had nowhere else to go.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, I'm sure he didn't go like just okay, cool, I'm going. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure it wasn't like that. So whatever. So
he was put there like a box.
But so he was doing good there for a while, you know what I'm saying? Then I guess one day he came back from work and he registered on the breathalyzer machine, you know what I'm saying? So they kicked him out. So my mom wouldn't take him back, you know what I'm saying? So and I wasn't gonna take him, you know what I'm saying? Because like I'm just like, what the fuck, man, you know? So I don't know where he went at that time, but probably like a couple months later, my other brother called me and he was just like, yo, we got to do something about John. I'm like, why? What's up? You know what I'm saying?
Where's John Road?
At this point, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I have no idea. John Road and him were hanging at that time. No more, I don't
really?
think. Yeah. Because he was like,
I think he got deep into it, John.
Yeah, John Road got mega deep into it.
I seen John Road a couple times, and he was so fucked up he didn't even know who I was.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was working in Birmingham, building a building, and he walked out of Rite Aid. I think he was stealing something. And I was literally like, closer than we are, and I seen him come out, and I was like, "Hey, what up?" And he's like, "Hey, what's up, man?" And he just kept walking real fast.
I thought you were security.
Yeah, and I was like, "Damn!" Like you know what I mean? Like he just looked right.
He's known you forever,
yeah,
you know. Fuck.
Like, I was like, "What's up?" And he just like, "Hey, man," and just like walked like super fast, shuffle, got in the car and took off. He must have caught, got something and tried to get the fuck out of there.
Beef with each other or something?
No, I don't think they had beef. You know what I'm saying? It's just that John was at the Salvation Army and
he was in a nursing home and everything.
And all that. And John Rowe was just on, the super self-destructive path. You know what I'm saying? Like shooting it up and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know around what time it was, but bless his soul and rest in peace. But he ended up overdosing and dying. John Rowe did from heroin. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I don't know what year that was. I don't know if, you know what I'm saying?
Do you guys know what year it was?
I just remember
everybody kind of lost track of him. Yeah, I just heard it too through my other brother actually.
I'd say maybe 4 years ago or something.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah. Okay, so that was actually this was more after the fact.
Like, damn, one of my boys just OD'd. I heard about that shit.
Right.
Yeah.
So
there goes John Road, man.
Yeah. Lost to the fucking drug game.
Probably
you know what I'm saying?
2011, 2010.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Somewhere in there.
Yeah, something like that.
But so my brother calls me. He's like, "Yo, we got to do something about John." I'm like, "Why? What's up?" He's like, "He's just living in this vacant house. I guess he knew the guy, and the guy moved out and said he could just like kind of squat there or whatever. You know what I'm saying?" And basically he's starving to death. You know what I'm saying?
Now this is your younger brother that called
and told me about this.
Yeah, your brother would
my brother Mike.
Your brother Mike who raps.
Yeah.
In
Trey Pound.
Trey Pound.
Yeah, right. And so I get the address and I go over there. The whole house is vacant. You know what I'm saying? And I go into this back room. Like his back bedroom. And he's just like this shitty old cot laid out, and he's just like just skin and bones just laying there, you know what I'm saying? I'm just like, what the fuck, man? He's just like, he couldn't even really talk. He was out of it, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't drinking, he wasn't taking drugs. He was just like about to starve to death, basically, you know what I'm saying? So you know what I'm saying? I picked him up, you know what I'm saying? Got him out to the car. I was like, okay, you come stay at my house. I'm going to get you back to health and get you back in the Salvation Army, you know what I'm saying? So
when was this?
Fuck, this was God, I'm so bad with like years and dates. This must have been around 2000 and like 2008 or 9, something like that. You know what I'm saying? And so I had him at my crib. You know what I'm saying? I had an extra bedroom in the back. You know, I was just giving him like SpaghettiOs and shit, just so his stomach would handle soft shit. And finally, he started eating normal shit and all that. And you know, he was never himself again because of the head shit. You know what I'm saying? But he was, you know, he was back in decent health and shit. You know what I'm saying? And so I was like, we had to go out of town for a couple of days for something. You know what I'm saying? And my brother Mike was staying there, and I was just like, yo, keep an eye on him. You know what I'm saying? Don't let him leave the house. You know what I'm saying? Just because he's got to go back to Salvation Army. You know what I'm saying?
You got to build him back up. Yeah.
Don't let him what?
Don't let him out the house or nothing. You know, don't, you know, unless you're with him and you're like taking him to get.
So he was just
something.
he wasn't drinking or.
No, 100% no. You know what I'm saying? Matter like when I first got him there, like he'd be trying to take a pee and he was so malnourished that like he like black out and like he busted a couple holes in my like bathroom walls with his head.
Jesus.
You know what I'm saying? That's in what bad shape he was. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man.
So whatever, we got him back on his feet. You know what I'm saying? And like before he was gonna go back to Salvation Army, we had to go out of town for a couple of days. So like I'm just like, you know, I know how the game goes. You know, as far as like, you know, like fiending for shit and all that. So like I like put like this little like a pillow feather in the top of my door to my bedroom. You know what I'm saying? Just to see if anybody opened the door. You know what I'm saying? So so I got back after that, and I looked, and the feather was gone. I found it like halfway across my room. You know, but there was like nothing in my room. I didn't keep money in there or nothing. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like looking around. Okay, there's nothing gone. Okay, I don't know. Maybe he was just rummaging through my shit looking for something to sell or something. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But there was nothing for him to take or anything. You know what I'm saying? So my brother went to drop him back off the Salvation Army, and when he got there, when he's checking in, he fucking blew numbers. So
for what, drinking?
Yeah. So my guess is what he did was just go like around the house and everything and scrounge up enough change to get like, I don't know, like a pint of like pop off or something or 5 o'clock, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Empty bottles.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Then I was just like, you know what? I'm through. I can't do it. You know what I'm saying? So so then my brother took him in for like a while or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Kept him straight, and then he actually got back into the Salvation Army. And then what happened was he had to constantly take seizure medication because of his brain injuries. You know what I'm saying? He'd have seizures like once a night if you don't take it, at least once a night, like violent ones, you know? So I guess what happened one night was he was in the Salvation Army and he had like a super ruthless seizure, fell out the bed and fucking hit his head on those hard ass fucking floors there, you know what I'm saying? And he was in the hospital for like a month or something, and when he came to and all that, he couldn't walk. You know what I'm saying? So he hit, like, you know, fucked up brain,
up,
you know what I'm saying? So then he was in a wheelchair after that, you know? And so then
did you guys ever see him? You never saw him nowhere.
And like right around that time, right before like that he went in the Salvation Army that time, my mom had passed, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, she wasn't about to take care of him no more, obviously, you know? And she wasn't gonna anyhow, you know. She was like, she couldn't take it no more, you know. Rightfully so. No, he wasn't with it neither. You know what I'm saying? The only reason why I think he was with it because my mom was so with it, you know.
Right.
But so at that time, he ended up going. It wasn't another nursery home. Yeah, he went to another nursery home after that, a nursing home, and yeah, because he was in that wheelchair or whatever, you know.
He went to a nursing home.
Another nursing home, yeah. In Hamtramck, like this really shitty one, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't as bad as the first one he was in, but you know, it was a real shitty one. But I go up there, like, you know, every once in a while with my other brother, and we visit him and shit, you know what I'm saying? Bring him cigarettes and stuff, you know.
What was he like?
Salty. You know what I'm saying? Just kind of salty at everything, you know what I'm saying? I mean, he was like, you know, he would talk about normal shit and like crack jokes here and there, but you know, he was very salty at the world. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And the crazy part,
I want to know what he was like, man.
I just told you he was you know what I'm saying, he was bitter. He was a bitter guy.
What would you guys talk about?
We would just reminisce about stuff, you know what I'm saying, just about like, you know,
like what stuff?
Like, God, I don't know. You put me on the spot. It's just like casual conversation.
Asking what you're doing.
Yeah, like what's going on, you know what I'm saying? How's it been here, you know? Yeah, you know, just catching up a little bit. Of course, he never had nothing to say, you know what I'm saying, because he's stuck in a fucking nursing home, you know what I'm saying? But he was just salty and bitter, you know what I'm saying? We'd like try to take him to the movies, you know, and, you know, whatever. No, I'm straight, you know, all that shit, you know? And so So finally he had got out of there. My uncle had found him a place in Highland Park. This, I guess, the government was paying for it. You know what I'm saying? Like on disability or whatever the fuck he was. Social Security. Yeah.
Highland Park is a real fucked up neighborhood.
Yeah, Highland Park's fucked. It's like the worst fucking area ever. But so like he was up in there for like a couple years, I guess. But like when he was up in there, he had more freedom. He could like fucking roll out, and it was basically the apartment was full of like fucking like crackheads, you know, all that shit. You know what I'm saying? All that shit, you know. So like, and like my uncle, you know, was his caretaker, you know. So like he would go and like,
Uncle Ed?
Yeah, you like drop him off a little bit of food. Like I bought him like a phone once, of course, it disappeared. You know, he of course probably sold it. You know what I'm saying? You know, so like he was always, every time you give him something like any bit, least bit nice, you know, it just end up missing, stolen, or he sold it for whatever the fuck, you know. By that time, you know, because he was regularly having seizures, then my uncle would go to the hospital and they'd report cocaine in his system. And my uncle's thinking he's snorting cocaine. I'm like, come on, guy. You know what I'm saying? Let's get real. You don't have money for fucking coke. It's fucking crack. You know what I'm saying? Bottom line, you know.
So he was just using anything now.
Yeah, basically, I think whatever he could get his hands on. You know what I'm saying? But I think drink was his main thing. But like, you know,
that's the easiest to get.
Right, exactly. You know, but if he get his hand on some rock, I'm pretty sure he'd smoke it. You know what I'm saying? And then eventually it got so bad over there, I guess like bed bugs overran and shit. Nobody wanted to go over there. Like my uncle would go over there, like, and he would like put on like his going to John's house clothes and take them off and keep them in his garage. You know, that bad. You know what I'm saying? And I never went over there because by this time, like, he pushed me away. You know, he didn't want shit to do with me because like I'd always be like, "Yo, what's up?" And the really sad part about it is, if he would have like, he was able to walk again. He wasn't stuck for life in a wheelchair. You know what I'm saying? And my uncle had set it up for a physical therapist through the government to come work with him. But he would get drunk in the morning and fucking pass out and never would answer the door when they come. So that was shot. You know what I'm saying? So basically he was just giving up. You know what I'm saying? Giving up. Then eventually he got thrown out of there because he had so much traffic coming in and out. Like he'd have like homeless people coming and staying in his apartment and shit. You know what I'm saying? Which I guess is a big fucking no thing for there, you know? And they put him in a group home.
Now wait a minute, man. What the fuck? What was he living at?
What do you mean? What was he living at?
Like what? It
was a government apartment.
I don't know.
What is that?
I never.
Like the government pays for the apartment,
right?
But it's just it's an apartment.
It's just like for derelicts kind of.
When people have disabilities, they'll form these homes.
Yeah.
And they just take your disability check straight
right,
from
exactly.
you and kick you out a little bit of money. It's basically.
Well, no, my uncle had power of attorney, so my uncle was paying for it. And
paying with the government.
Right, with the government, with his
That's
Social Security checks, right? And he'd like give him like $20 here and there to get food, but of course he just buy vodka with it and whatever, you know what I'm saying? But so eventually he got kicked out of there, you know what I'm saying? And that's where I really, really like lost track, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I knew where he was at, but like I ain't talked to him for a couple years, you know what I'm saying? Because like I said, he was pushing everybody away that tried helping him, you know what I'm saying? And because he didn't want help, you know? So then he ended up going into a group home, from what I heard from my uncle. Got kicked out of that one. I'm not sure what for, you know what I'm saying? Then he went to a second group home, and he was living there for a couple weeks. And that's kind of where...
this is now?
Yeah, this is up to date now. You know what I'm saying? What was it? Not this past Friday, but the Friday before. Yeah.
He's just in another
group home.
What is a group home?
That's it's just where like they take pretty much
thing.
No, that's same thing, but more derelicts.
Right, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like more like street people and shit like that.
But
you know
their
what I'm
income
saying?
is based on that disability.
Right. As long as they got the Social Security disability, homeless or not, you know what I'm saying? They'll put you in there.
Dangerous in these
places?
places?
Of course.
No doubt,
So yeah, they take anybody. There's no background check on
it. Right. If you're on the streets and you got any kind of disability or whatever,
as long as you
but
can give them
they do have rules in there. You're not allowed to have drugs or drink in there or nothing. You know what I'm saying? That's why he got kicked out of that first one, I believe, is because, you know, he was drunk up in there. You know what I'm saying? So then he got put in the second one. And then, you know, I talked to my uncle, and he said, you know, he was like, I just straight up stopped calling you about, because he was having like a seizure a week and being in the hospital, you know, because he wasn't taking a seizure medication, you know.
Right.
So a week.
Why wasn't he taking it?
Because
just
stubborn knucklehead. No, well, they had people to distribute the pills there. So they had like a med call, you know what I'm saying? He just wouldn't take his shit, you know what I'm saying? But why? Nobody knows, you know what I'm saying? So a week from last Friday, they found him in the morning. He had passed, you know what I'm saying? And they called my uncle because he was his caretaker, you know what I'm saying? And they're not exactly sure what it was yet. You know, the autopsy's supposed to be coming in like within next 3 months. And my uncle went and cleaned all his shit out, you know, the next day or whatever, you know. And he had told me that, you know, he found one of big ass liter bottles of pop off vodka, you know what I'm saying, the cheap shit. And he felt bad. He was like, yeah, like the week before, or just like the Tuesday before, like a few days before he had died, that he went there and he bought him a bunch of frozen dinners, you know what I'm saying, like a thing of tobacco or whatever, because he rolled his own cigarettes. And he gave him $20, you know what I'm saying, just for, you know, because it's his money, you know what I'm saying, so he can't deny him all his shit, you know what I'm saying. And so when he found that when he was cleaning his room out, so I mean it's basically speculation on my part, 100% of why he died, you know what I'm saying. I think it had something to do with not taking his medication and drinking on top of not taking his medication, you know what I'm saying. But, you know, they found him in his bed, so it's not like, you know, there was some struggle or some fight. You know, there's no blood, nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? Then, you know.
And everybody in the, like your family members were just basically, they knew it was coming.
We all knew it was coming. All of us knew it was coming. It was just a matter of when. But, you know what I'm saying? It still was, I'm not going to say a shock, but, like, it came out of left field kind of for us. You know what I'm saying? Because my uncle called me. He was like, you know, I don't know how to tell you this, you know, but John, you know, they found him dead this morning in his bed. And I was just like, my jaw dropped, you know what I'm saying? I was just like, what? You know what I'm saying? Even though I ain't talked to him for 2 years, you know what I'm saying? Still, though, you know, I was just like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? It was fucking nuts, you know? I just at a loss for words. It fucked me up a little bit, you know what I'm saying?
When you called me, it did the same thing. It, like, you know, it was like I said, in so many ways, that feels like yesterday, that part of my life.
Yeah. And you know, when we did the funeral last Tuesday, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, I made those poster boards up with all the pictures I could find of him and shit, you know what I'm saying? And that's why I only went up to a certain point on those pictures, because I didn't want, you know, people seeing him in the wheelchair with his head all fucked. I want everybody to remember him for the shit when he was the shit.
Even that picture in the middle, though, he looked fucked up in, man.
Yeah, there was one or two in there that I had to feel, you know what I'm saying, where he wasn't, like, in a wheelchair or nothing, you know what I'm saying? I mean, all the pictures, like, pretty much, you know, everybody's got a beer in their hand.
Yeah,
stuff,
you're
you know what I'm saying?
You're not a GQ model. You're not, everything ain't perfect.
Right, exactly. You know, everybody, you know, the pictures on vacation
Yeah.
or Christmas, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Beer, a cigarette in the hand or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, I didn't want to put, like, you know, near the last, you know, few years or 10 years,
At your
actually.
worst.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know, I got one in my house of, like, from, like Christmas, like, a few years back at my cousin's house with, like, me and my two brothers and my stepdad chilling, and I was gonna put that up on there, but you know he's like just in his wheelchair with his, you know, head all, you know what I'm saying, just looking like just not
That's
looking
not
good.
how you want to remember.
Exactly.
That's
So
right.
I wanted everybody to, you know, remember
That's not
him
how any of us want to
when he was the
remember.
shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Because
right.
he was
Man,
the fucking
come on,
shit,
man.
man.
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
At one point,
That guy
like,
was schooling chicks
Right.
left and right, man.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Fuck,
Because I
man.
remember the time when, like, we used to hang out in your room all the time, up in the attic
Yep.
there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And it'd be like me, you know, us and John just playing video games, Atari 2600, Super Nintendo, whatever, or Nintendo,
Alter
Super
Beast.
Mario Brothers.
Super
Alter
Mario
Beast.
Brothers.
Rise from the grave.
Yeah, and then always like spinning, like cutting on the
Yeah,
fucking,
always on the
Yeah.
fucking records. no
always like, you know, playing new music all the time. Like that was a
Yeah.
big pastime. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I remember him. You know what I'm saying?
It's just fucking terrible that, you know, the day we started the group, you know, and the two guys that left passed away. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
And it's like,
Not greasy.
No.
He's still with us.
he was never there in our childhood.
Yeah, he didn't.
right,
Yeah, we
right,
didn't grow up
right.
with him. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
it feels like so many different things. It feels like, you know, like, I don't know, man, like,
You know, and like as far as like, you know, all like my family members coming up to me and stuff at his funeral, you know, everybody's just kind of like, you know, sorry for the loss, you know, but you know, now he's not in, you know, he's not in pain no more. He's not suffering. He's not, which is true. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm thinking.
Which is
like,
the which is
talking,
the good
I'm thinking
bright side about it. You know,
every year had to just suck.
Right. I mean that's the biggest bright side to look at about it. That he's not fucked up no more. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He ain't fucked up no more. He's not struggling every day to fucking get drunk and live in these fucking shitholes and have to deal with fucking grimy ass bullshit. You know
got to think some of that subconsciously in the back of your head when you're living that destructive lifestyle.
Oh, no doubt,
you almost
in a situation
you want to get to that point.
Right. That's my theory too. Is he kind of gave up as well. You know what I'm saying?
Nothing to look forward to.
Right.
You know?
But that's why, you know, now whenever, because like, you know, I've been salty at him for a long time because him putting himself through that and not accepting help, you know what I'm saying? But like now that he's gone, it's like I don't remember those times now. I just remember when he was fucking awesome.
When we went to his memorial, right? You know, that's where we reconnected with Noel and John.
We seen these guys for fucking
and we were all
God
talking.
knows how long.
And it was like
yesterday.
It was like actually a good energy in there.
Yeah,
it was weird,
It brought everybody back together again.
Because we weren't talking about like what we're talking about on the show today.
We're talking about all the good times.
His decline. We were talking about
how fresh it was.
How fresh it was, like when we were kids and all the stuff we used to do, like when we used to play the Bloods and Crips game, and you know what I'm saying, and you know all these games and all these different things we were into.
Assassins,
you know what I'm saying?
Role playing.
Freshness point.
Yeah.
Like, freshness points.
Freshness point.
You used to kill it.
Right. The fucking spewing game.
Listen,
you know what I'm saying?
The craziest thing is so much of our childhood, like our lingo and our fucking things, have become Juggalo
things. Ninjas, Ned.
You know, like I can't believe freshness points haven't transferred over.
It's about to.
And that's why
it is. Like I think it is.
And you know what's dope? You know what's dope as fuck as me? Like when I was hollering at John at the memorial, it's like we were talking. He was like, "Oh, remember that one ninja?" And I'm just like, "Fuck yeah!" You know what I'm saying?
Like,
because he never loses.
Ninja is like a Juggalo word.
You know, Nedden is like fucking nationwide now. You know,
these are like worldwide.
A neighborhood thing
words,
is like big. You know, Nedden. Who the fuck knew what a Nedden was?
A freshness point for Juggalos is like anytime somebody does something fresh, they can earn a freshness point or a staleness point.
It's not as deep as we used to take it.
But you could get more than one freshness point. If crazy.
Yeah,
like let's say you're in the car, right? You're in the Jeep, like we were in the Jeep, right? And you pull up behind a garbage truck. You jump out of the car and all of a sudden you jump into the back of the garbage truck and start hammer sliding. And then jump out of the garbage truck and back in your car. You earn a freshness point. You know what I mean?
And freshness point aren't a light thing to give out.
No, either a staleness point.
Right, exactly.
It's very heavy.
Very
like when you
fucking
say,
stale,
man,
very fresh.
Like an
argument,
argument.
Stale point.
Yeah, you get a staleness point for that, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
You get weak points, you can get lame points, but if you get a
baby
staleness,
points.
baby points,
if you're crying about something,
if you get a stale point, you know what I'm saying? That's like,
right.
You know, you're arguing with somebody. They fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like they fucking, you know. Like, you know, let's say you had some food with your name on it in the fridge, and you're looking forward to it all day, and you come home and your boy ate it, you know? You get a staleness point for that, man. I had my name on that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what a staleness point is. And a freshness point is if you bought somebody food, man.
Right.
You come home and your boy bought you a fucking half a pizza, you know?
I'm just thinking of shit like,
point for that,
you know,
homie.
I'm just thinking of shit like, you know, the spewing game back in the day. Like, Muda spews, like fucking you used to be the master of it. Like, just be milk, all of a sudden you'd be chilling. Spew it, you'd be like, fuck, man.
You know what? Later in my life, I got spewed by Muda. For real.
Yo, but the freshest thing was,
I swear to God, man.
The freshest thing was, you came over one day, and I remember fucking John was chilling, waiting for like 15 minutes with fucking cooking oil in his mouth. Liquid cooking oil in his mouth, just waiting for this boy. And as soon as he came here, opened the door, he was like, blam! He cooking oil.
Terrible.
He was like, yo, man, I give up. You got me.
You get spewed with some motherfucking vegetable oil. You got schooled, man.
He was holding his mouth for like 15.
All right, look, I've been wanting to tell this story about Noel. Coming up with Noel, we used to hang out with Noel during lunchtime all the time, like in school and after school. Like we hung out with Noel, we hung out with you like so fucking tight for mad years. And one of the main things I remember was during lunchtime we'd come over, and this is how I don't know, intelligent or whatever you want to call it, like criminal-minded or hustling this guy is. He would sell his mom's food in his cupboards to us for a greatly reduced price.
Greatly reduced.
And he actually had menus fucking handwritten out.
And of course, because Noah lived in one of those houses that always had food in it.
Always had food in the menu. Would
We used to go to the people on downstairs and get their
the menu would say
cheese slice.
Man, we would run to his house.
Otis would be cooking up the fucking.
I'd like to add that I cooked as well.
Right, he did do a little.
There was also a service.
Right. So, but for like $1 or $2, you could eat so fat.
Ravioli, he would cook it. You know what I'm saying? And then there was lesser things for like a dime, like a Twinkie. You know what I'm saying? He always had Hostess snacks, all that good shit, man.
Oh man.
Yeah, all at his mom's expense. She's like,
the only thing is you had to deal with Hillary when she came home.
I remember Noah used
Angry Hillary.
Noah used to sneak his mom's car out, at night and pick us up. Man, we were
going to
fucking
Pontiac. I remember that.
We were fucking driving through Pontiac.
Oh my
God! We slid in
blizzard,
the snow.
snowstorm.
We slid so hard on the freeway,
hit a medium,
and we hit the wall. Boom!
Hit the medium.
And we were all just silent.
We
in
were
the car.
like silent for like
we were like
good 30, 45 seconds.
We were like,
no one
no, we were like, no,
we were like,
fucked. Noel's
we were like,
fucked.
Noel's fucked, and we were like, if there's a guy, when we get home,
that's so vivid,
the car will be straight.
Did nobody get out and look till we got home?
Nobody looked. We got all the way home, looked, and the car was perfect.
Yo, straight up, we hit that fucking concrete medium doing at least 30, 35. We were driving slow because it was a blizzard.
It was a blizzard
But still 30, 35.
Right.
Hitting a fucking medium.
We went down Telegraph, right? We were
Yeah, it was on Telegraph.
Noel was fucking
from
crazy
Pontiac.
as a kid, man.
Yeah.
You were brave as fuck, man.
Right.
We used to push the shit out of that
how
car.
many people would be in that Thunderbird though?
Fuck, deep.
A 5-seater, about
Then
8.
somebody would fart, everybody get to sock you twice.
Right? Remember that?
I remember when Gerald used to yell at you, man. He used to fucking have that accent.
No.
That English.
Scottish accent.
Yeah.
The bloody
yeah.
fifth.
You know we miss Nancy boy.
Yeah. He had that
for
Ireland
fuck's
accent.
sakes.
It was so funny. No.
Get your ass in the kitchen now.
What he used to say? God, he used to say something about Joe all the time, man.
Then when Gerald came home,
Knucklehead. He used to call Joe Knucklehead. That Knucklehead Joe I hit out there?
we used to have to go. Remember that back room? Was it like a fourth
like
bedroom?
a little library
Garage,
thing?
Yeah, but the garage
secret
was
back
attached
room,
to it.
Yeah.
So when Gerald came home, we'd all have to bounce out of there.
Go in there, he running out
And
Went
hop
around
that
there
wall.
and
Yeah.
On the 9
apartment.
mile.
on the dive in the apartments.
Fuck yeah,
shit,
man. But
Wow.
that Jeep played a pivotal role in my life, man.
Yeah.
The times in that Jeep, man.
And couldn't nobody drive it but John. He was the only one allowed to drive the Jeep.
Right. He drove everybody everywhere. That's what Nate was saying on the phone. He was like, John would drive you anywhere.
How many
you
miles
wanted
were
to
on that
go.
Jeep? Like a million?
It, dog,
As much
who even
driving
knows,
as it
man?
That Jeep, man.
It had a welded-on ram plate on the front.
I think I had 200,000 when we got it.
Right.
We were fresh in that Jeep, though. It wasn't
Yeah.
a bucket.
Hell no.
It was
Jeep
like
was
we
fine.
were fresh.
We
in
had
that
all the best
motherfucker.
stolen stereo components you could get.
Right. Somehow, like, my parents were so, like, ignorant to the fact we put stolen sound system in their car, and they were cool with it.
Because Roger was bumping.
You didn't notice the bumps.
I remember when we were out stealing car stereos, and we had split up. We were like, we'll meet
that was
back-
that big haul. I was the
we'll
only one
meet
that
back
didn't get
here in
pinched.
20
somehow.
minutes, whatever, And I looked down at the meeting spot, and all I saw was police lights.
It was
and
me and
fucking
John.
people just. Somebody
We
got
were,
pinched.
we were trapped in the driveway, and we were about to pull out, and whoop, 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 whoop. It was just me and John.
So I had this smooth idea. I was so smart.
Guy.
I was like,
I think it was us three and John Road. I don't think you were there that night. Yeah, it was
I
just
had
us
the
three and
genius
John Road.
idea. I was like, I gotta see who it is and what happened. And I was like, all right, I'll just go jogging by. like I'm a midnight
It's
jogger.
like 4 in the morning.
It's like I'm a midnight jogger. So here I come
Yeah, like 4
jogging
in the
by,
morning.
you know what I'm saying?
Look at that
And
health
the cop was like, get the fuck over here, you know what I'm saying?
I'm just jogging, sir.
That's so fucking stupid for that, man.
Hey, Joey, when you brought up all that stealing, do you remember the Myers incident when we hid in that dumpster and that security guard chased us out?
I don't know.
Myers over in...
I know, in Royal Oak. Yeah, we
yeah.
used to always steal from that. When they
That
first
was
went
the Sega
24 hours.
Genesis.
Yeah, with the Sega
Football,
Genesis.
basketball.
Yeah, was that when we
you were
hit?
with us? We were
Yeah, we just
throwing-
filled the cart up and just walked out with that bitch.
Yeah, until they chased us
Yeah.
4 blocks and...
No, that was you and my brother.
Oh, that was just me and John?
Yeah, and you guys hopped that fucking fence with
That
the barbed
security
wire.
fence, right.
And he dropped his fucking ID and got pinched for it.
He dropped his entire wallet. We jumped a 12-foot...
He had that
hurricane
fucking
fence.
blue jacket.
That blue with the
and he
faux
put it
fur
over
on
the
the inside,
fucking
that's
barbed
right.
wire to get
Who
over
remembers
it.
the night? Who remembers the night we were all fucking drunk drinking Mad Dog?
Which one?
Mad Dog.
Which one?
And, and listen, we got in the Jeep
last week,
and we were going to some club,
I
it was like
remember.
a teen club, and we're fucking so stupid. We're all in the fucking Jeep.
Deep as fuck.
Deep as fuck, hanging out, you know, all of us.
I was drinking peppermint schnapps
Open
that
bottles
night.
of fucking liquor,
Drinking,
you
like,
know what
what
I'm
up?
saying?
Like,
And we're like, we won't get caught.
Teenagers.
And we get pulled over, you know what I'm saying? Instantly.
Like, instantly.
I was
Pulled
driving.
over, you
I
know?
think that was actually in Livonia.
I was
somehow.
driving and I didn't have a driver's license.
They lined us all up.
Word?
Yeah.
For real?
They lined us all
Because
up,
John
right?
was too drunk.
Yeah, and I did
They
drive,
lined us
and that was
all
my
up.
argument.
And
With
fucking,
the cop.
and I was like, I don't know what the fuck I was thinking, but I ran.
You and John both ran.
We
both of you guys
bolted,
did.
you know what I'm saying? We ran, you know what I'm saying? And we were hopping fences, and the cops didn't even chase us. We were
They're
hopping
too busy
fences,
fucking-
and we
too
hid
busy
in
wrapping
the
us
shed. We hid in somebody's shed. It smelled like lawnmower gas. And John was like, fuck, you know, my mom's going to kill me because I took the Jeep. I wasn't supposed to take the Jeep. And I was like, I'll run away with you. Fuck it. And so we ran
and this
away.
is like 16, 17 years old.
We
Let's
ran
run
away. And we walked, and we were looking.
Every time I ran
our
away, I
plan-
ran to your house, Joe.
Our plan was to steal a car.
Yeah, we hit the back of
We
my
were waiting
that
at a
lead
7-Eleven.
dude.
We were waiting at it. Our plan was to steal a car. We were waiting at a 7-Eleven, hoping some lady would pull up and leave her car running and go into 7-Eleven. Like that was actually gonna happen.
That was but we had a legitimate plan.
So we're waiting for hours at every fucking 7-Eleven. We're like, let's try another one. You know what I mean? So we walked and walked and
5
got all the
miles
way to
to
16 Mile, and John was like, fuck it, I'm calling my mom. And he called his mom. He never even got in trouble for it. You know, and I just went home. I never got in no trouble, you know what I'm saying?
We all got pinched for curfew.
Oh, yes, we did.
Fuck.
That's back when they just drop you off at your
Right,
house.
drop
though.
you off at your mom,
Right,
yeah.
your mom smack you a couple times, take you in the house.
How'd the Jeep ever get back?
Roger had to go get it out of impound.
Did he?
You know how that went.
Hey, don't we got some news?
No, we're
No,
good. Yeah,
we're good on the
yeah,
news.
we're
Okay,
too late.
all right. Man, Juggalos, man, it's been one of them. God, it's been one of them nights, man. It's been
Ups and downs.
ups and downs, man. My emotions right now, I can't fucking take it, man.
I
Shit.
know there's juggalos out there that wondered whatever happened to that voice on Dog Beats and on Carnival of Carnage.
go.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know what I'm saying? And that voice was our fucking homie.
That's
That was
right.
my brother and friend, man.
And he's in a better place.
Rest
Yes,
in
sir.
You know what I'm
peace.
saying?
Rest in paradise, brother.
And he's a fucking juggalo legend.
The legend is right.
You know,
Is
he,
right.
he never even knew it. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? But he's a Hall of Famer in the world of juggalos, man.
That's right.
John Kickjazz, man. And fucking Kid Villain.
That's right.
On the Crescent forever on the first Joker's card. Carnival of Carnage. You know what I'm saying? And Dog Beats.
Man.
Show that picture again, man. Of the three of us.
One more time. One more
The
time.
first photo shoot ever. You know what I'm saying? In the fucking garage right
our
there.
first promo flat.
That's right.
Inner City Posse.
Inner City.
Look at that sweet golden mullet.
Look at that handsome little boy on the left trying to look tough.
Look at that 15-year-old boy.
Got a mustache
man.
in that picture.
Yeah, maybe a
Look
little
at that.
caterpillar.
Look at that 15-year-old boy.
Wait, look at Hard with a tall neck of Budweiser and like
Front
$4.
Front with Roger's empty beer bottle in the garage.
Roger left that there.
And that what you guys are wearing, that was what we wore.
That's what we.
Fuck out of.
That's
like,
what we wore that
hoodies,
whole day.
Hey,
hoodies and flannels was it.
That
Because
was
nobody had a fucking winter jacket.
Yeah,
Right,
4
that's all
flannels.
we wore.
4 or 5 flannels was a winter coat.
Right.
Hoodies and flannels. That should be a song.
You know what though, man? John brought us back together.
That's
No
right.
doubt,
We're back
man,
in
yeah.
touch. You know
That's
what I'm saying?
We all got each other's numbers again. And
And
shit.
Juggalos,
Fuck
you
yeah.
can expect to see John Klein and Noel Symington at the fucking gathering
That's
17.
right.
Yeah.
Shit.
With the escort,
That's
the trunk open.
With all the sound.
Hopefully we'll see him at Ballers Christmas, man. I
Yeah,
mean, we
that's
got some shit coming up. You
Ballers
know?
Christmas,
Yeah,
yeah,
18th.
on the 17th and 18th.
That's
And you know
right.
what?
2
Check
Fridays.
this out. If John Klein in that fucking garage years, if you have entered the ghetto zone, that shit's coming out.
We will find a cassette player to play it over the
right.
house shits.
No, we're pressing that shit up.
Yeah.
If you got that
I
shit,
gotta look. I gotta have
as
something.
soon as you can, because if you do, there's juggalos listening right now that want to
Intelligence
hear
and
that
violence,
shit.
get the fuck out of
If
here.
you got
I
intelligence
hope
and
I got
violence,
Joe would be like intelligence, and D-Lear would be coming on and
And
he'd be like,
violence.
and violence, intelligence and
And
violence.
Juggalos, it's been one of them wild nights. We'd like to thank you guys for being with us. Like I always say on every one of our shows, man, we are not here for a long time. We're here for a good time. Take care of each other. God bless you. And we will see you in 2 weeks. Jump steady.
All right, hell yeah.
Boop,
Let's-
boop.
Hell yeah.
The ghettos of America are breeding grounds for the criminal mind. As for years they killed one another out, and America has enjoyed its creation. Well, now these ghetto-minded criminals have crossed the line into your neighborhood and will soon give you a taste of the hell that they have lived for so long. So, Pops, this time it's your son who gets shot. Deal with your own creation.